Hello, everyone. I'm Tassenix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, the Grand Arena focused podcast centered about the top 100 of Kyber 1 for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I'm here with the regular cast to break down Season 74, 3 versus 3 Grand Arena Championship Week 3. As far as my third week goes, guys, I guess, introducing the gentleman. Hey, Dagger, how you doing today?
Been better, been worse.
Yeah,
Hanging
all
in
right.
there. Tis the season.
Yeah. How was the week for you?
Oh, shit. 2-1. I want to say 2-1.
Yeah. All right. Dig that. Sounds good.
So.
TJ, how you doing today? How was the week overall?
Rabble, CG sucks, etc. Moving on. 1 and 2, but the third one was I'm not mad. I'm disappointed because it was a complete my oopsie that cost the third. But round 2 was awesome, man. Fought an old guildmate of mine and friend of the game, Yama. Had a hell of a fight. Would have been stream worthy, but week off, etc. So 1 and 2, I'll take it. Finishes the season 3, 5, 6. 6 and 3, so I'll be okay with it.
Nice. All right. Yeah. What was your overall for the season, Dagger? Since I didn't ask.
Like 4 and 5.
Dread.
Wasn't good.
Dread. Yep. That'll do it.
Yeah. Sorry to quote TJ. Rabble, holiday season. Rabble, children.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget CG sucks. You must insert that as a hashtag.
My apologies.
trademark.
Rabble, CG sucks. Sorry, my apologies, TJ. I didn't quote you correctly.
That's right. Air quote.
All right. Well, Sasha, Aisha, how about you? How did the week go? How was the season overall?
Week went okay, not well, honestly, from a GAC perspective. I went 1 and 2, and the source of frustration for me was a huge cheesing of in my first match where the guy held 9 GLs, and I took one risk early on, just kind of I wanted to try something that didn't work, and effectively the match was over. I set 6 GLs. I said what was, I think, otherwise a really pretty solid defense, but holding 9 GLs plus Seer Maliko Star Killer plus everything else, he put up a 2088 against my defense. And so I'm like, I'm not playing. That was not fun. But otherwise, yeah. I mean, it's been I guess the positive way to describe it is an overstimulating week with I received in my inbox, as many others did, and like an overabundance of Datacron reroll materials. And because I went so heavy on attacker crons after that whole thing, I think I received 440,000 reroll materials of each level and 22, maybe it was 23 Datacrons. So I'm trying to wade through that and trying to work hard to not desensitize myself too much on rerolls, because at some point I'm going to have to do this with things that actually matter and have some value and aren't infinite. But for right now, yeah, that's where I am.
Yep. I guess this is as good a time as any to mention. Yeah, with that refund, I did some re-rolling on my own, but my guild issued guidance for how they wanted, since we can perfect any number of these crons, there's some targets. And I sat down pretty much with a fresh cup of coffee today at 8 a.m. And here, like 3:30 p.m. is basically when I stopped. And there it is, just over 8,400 yes. Re-rolls. But the grim work is done. And no, I am bereft of any cartilage in my right index finger. It's all bone-on-bone action. Great.
8,400 rerolls.
Yeah.
Is there a way to see it on .tg? I know you have other means of
I don't know.
looking.
I actually don't know. I don't know if there are other means. It's, yeah, but that's that's the story of today. So productive use of vacation time, as you can see.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Last but never least is Fatal. How was your week? What's the good word? How was the season overall? All the goodness.
What a roller coaster, man. I don't know. I mean, the way y'all seem to feel now is basically how I felt for the last 2 weeks, and so this week was this weird what like I had fully emotionally divorced, separated for the next 4 months. I was just good to be like, man, fuck this game in the short term. I'll show up and do my shit and wait for attacker crowns to die. Goddamn, I kind of wish I didn't throw so many matches down. If I had known the show was coming in 2 weeks, I would have just dip up or lip that. But yeah, 2-1 for this week. And I committed the Cardinals, and I'm officially back into my old new form. After this is the one loss was I did 3 drops and slipped into test stream entertainer mode. And being first attacker, you don't know how your defense does. My defense did. I just need to stop that shit. If I'm gonna be attacking first, I just need to stop that shit. Yeah, no, this season, this week, because this is basically a new season this week.
Yeah.
Seems a lot more interesting. Seems way, way, way more fun. Fuck attacker crowns. Rest in peace.
Fair enough. Very fair. For my own part, I went 1-2. I want to say it was a 5-4 season overall. So I'm fortunate. The first round, I want to say, I think it was for Sasha, and yeah, that was just the height of my malaise over this issue going into the first one. I even told Sasha, the news broke when we were planning for round one. When it was the planning phase for round one, and this was, and this was before they announced the solution or their make good and all of that. When it hit me, I was like, honestly, I don't even know that I want to set a board, much less stream or play anything. And then when we saw the solution, Sasha reached out and said, "Hey, this is what it is." Because Sasha initially agreed with me, but then he's like, "You know what? I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and play." I'm like, "All right, I'll go ahead and make sure I set some type of board, but I'm still not really sure I'm gonna stream." And then eventually I was like, "All right, fine. Let's just do it." Because I really didn't. I had to get my mood checked because I don't want to get on here for between 2 and 3 hours and just be dour about the game. So yeah, once I had that more or less in check, I was okay to stream, but that basically followed me through the whole week. I guess I was grateful to the one ray of sunshine is, as screwed as the meta is, from whatever your experience was going into week 3, I at least had 3 real opponents. So, mixed bag. But yeah, 1 and 2 in the end. Yeah.
Task. I appreciate your emotional resilience, man. I thought it was for me kind of cathartic to get back out and play a little bit, given where I was, and I think some other people wanted to get a chance to see the game. You didn't bring it onto the stream, that sort of emotional turmoil we all felt at that point. I just want to say thank you, man. I needed that. I suspect others did too. So thank you.
I appreciate your appreciation, and it was honestly something I just had to go take a walk about and say, I can't believe these sons. Anyway, so, an hour later, I was all right. But yeah, we got a show to get into, and we do have some questions in the chat. Guys, I'll do my best to answer questions in the chat via text. I'll try to respond back to you as I see them. But we will have a dedicated time for question and answer later on in the stream. So if you want to save them for that, we'll definitely get you covered. Because if you put them in the log here willy-nilly, nobody's tracking that. And, I'm not going to scroll 1,000 lines up to find it. So, yeah. That being said, guys, let's jump right in to agenda stuff. First things first. Anything new meta-related that you wanted to discuss? Let me pull up my own notes and see if I had something to throw into the pot.
I'll add one that I thought was interesting, and it really shaped my experience last match with Baby Yoda, and that was the use of support cron with Ray Ben Ezra, and just changing that matchup because I know Ray Ben Ezra is one of the, if not the sort of toughest combo people tend to set on D or had been setting in that last meta. And I came into this Datacron set being really afraid of what that attacker cron would do in that combo. And it turns out it was, at least from my experience, a totally different experience taking on a support cron, and one where the counter that I had become really confident in, which was bringing my own Leia Drogon R2 with a Jawa cron, I lost without getting a chance. It was impressive. I don't think it always happens that way, so it's based on some targeting RNG. But that one had a real impact on me. It certainly shaped my match.
Are you referring to Leia?
Leia again, but yes, Leia Drogon R2 with the Jawa cron, taking on Rey, Ben, and Ezra with the support cron.
Oh, by the way,
the support cron is the support cron is in 3v3. If your opponent's going to use Leia, the support cron like tanks that matchup super hard.
It can, yeah, for sure.
What does it actually do functionally to win rates?
One shot.
What does it do functionally to win rates, though? Did you actually check data on it when you were getting ready to attack that, Sasha?
Support cron is anti-Leia when fighting Ezra. It's because the best guess right now is it's because of the stealth dispelling.
Yeah, for sure. It would have to be that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can speak to that matchup as well as the resident pervert. Starkiller doesn't give a fuck about it. I mean, well, okay.
Yeah.
I did find out that apparently my Mara has just been running like barely any potency added. So I've somehow been playing Starkiller versus Rey Ezra on hard mode. I don't know when she went to bulk, but yeah, that'll be fixed. I mean, we'll see what the hell happens with Chimere. But I'm not necessarily giving Chimere Starkiller. But yeah, it's so I'm going to be talking about support crons a lot in the near future. But the thing that I will hammer home is support crons are crazy good. Some of it is due to bugs, which we could also talk about. But when posting,
are you sure we're allowed to talk about bugs? Fatal, they have shown you they will alter deals mid-cycle when there is a bug.
Oh, in Task, when they're talking about bugs, they're not talking about Helldivers. This is about bugs.
No, I appreciate the distinction. Thank you.
I said CG the 5 support cron bugs like 3 weeks ago. They're just out of office. When the bugs for support cron do get fixed, I do think support cron will still be solid, but it will not be as stupid as it potentially is right now. Because what it is right now is kind of fucking silly. But okay, that just set up like 4 different things to talk about. What were we doing first?
Well, first, yeah, I mean, within the context of meta-analysis, you want to talk about details around this support cron first, since that's what we're immediately on?
Yeah, so for posting support crons on defense, like I'll use the Starkiller versus Rey Ezra fight, for example. Support cron shuts off when the support dies, and support cron does not work on the support. So like in the case of Starkiller versus Rey Ezra, I just said, all right, I'm killing Ezra first, and I will not really bother hitting anyone else, although it looked like the Ben solo was squishy enough that I actually accidentally threw him into lock anyway, just like one Starkiller basic was like, whoops, oh, you're paper. All right. Right? Like, for support cron to really get value, you really want to be thinking about your defense and health and protection values where applicable. But yeah, it like every time you post a support cron on defense, I want you, if you want to be like truly be about it this next couple of months, you are playing King of the Hill with your support. Every team that's playing for support cron needs to be protecting their support. And in the short term, we can talk about the bugs. One of the bugs is, like, let's say, here's the example. Here's how I discovered it. So you play Queen Amidala, and Queen Amidala is a support, and I'm pretty sure Master Qui-Gon's is a support. And let's say, hypothetically, a attacker cron cat nukes your Master Qui-Gon, and one support dies. Support cron shuts off right now. So when I say we're playing King of the Hill with supports, I'm not saying like, oh, you can if you can run 2 supports and as long as you keep the one, you're fine. No, you have to protect your neck on all of them. You have to puzzle box figure this shit out. If you can do that, support cron's very good. Support cron is too good because right now it's undispellable, unpreventable, goes above 5 cap stack. There was another one that I forgot.
I've got a support cron on screen if it helps you.
I can check my bug report. The report that will possibly get me shot by some CG employee I've never met before for sending this shit like the day that they were closing.
You're fine. They've only got one computer, man. And somebody's borrowing that shit.
They
It's
got
at
a
home.
printout of your face from stream, and they call him Breaker of Vacations.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be dispelled, stacking infinitely, or maybe it was only 4 bugs. All right, maybe only 4. Yeah, I think it's only 4. Okay, safe. Yeah, no, it short term, it's going to be pretty good. But again, it's not a be all end all. While the attackers and tanks, I mean, if attackers are squishy, you probably won't care too much. But like a good tank, I have good news. We're no longer playing Star Wars. We're playing fucking DC because that's just gonna feel like Superman with like bullets bouncing off of his chest. But again, think about the supports. Gun for the supports. They are exposed with no protection. They die. That shit shows itself. It's fine.
First of them to die kills it.
Also worth mentioning, they didn't just fuck this for us. If you look at the datacrons, like what Tass has on screen, look at what the level 6 requires. Look at the top right corner of that level 6.
What do you mean?
These datacrons work at gear 12.
They already did.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Like this whole set did?
Yes.
That was been there. They just put the update to show you where it was at. It's already that's from the beginning. That's been known.
I thought it was only focus datacrons that did that.
No, they were doing a special thing for the set to make it more new player friendly.
Oh, I didn't see those little like denotations, so I didn't really think about it that way.
It is a little ironic that they did it to just make it more inclusive and sort of broaden the appeal of datacrons, which basically brought more people into the tent when they set it on fire. So that was kind of
fine analogy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. All right, so Fatal support cron.
Really quick is, the Starkiller versus Rey, Ezra, Ben felt pretty loose. If they have a turn meter level 3, getting your MJ blinded feels really bad.
I am doing my best to never say this publicly. Don't run Starkiller against Lightside Turn Meter.
No, I know. I'm just saying I tried it and I got my MJ blinded. I'm just like, oh, that's probably GG. And I think I got Ezra and Ben down, but it was pretty much GG.
That shit is a hard block.
Yeah,
I'm doing my best to not self snitch where possible.
I have to say that since the attacker cron level 6 was nerfed, and the best hopes I think of jamming up Maz with Lord Vader are behind us, I really have enjoyed keeping Lord Vader for offense. And so when I saw Rey, Ezra, Ben, and this would have been my plan regardless of what the cron was, Lord Vader Oppo CX2 would have been my cudgel to go through. Now, with an attacker cron, I did lose CX2, I want to say, or no, I lost Oppo. So they might not be without peril. It might not be without peril going against the support cron, but I wonder how you feel about that, because I didn't get to try that, but I would.
Really quick, just observationally, I watched, that was your battle against Arsenal in the last round, right?
Correct.
Tess?
Last round, yeah.
And I was blown away by the fact that, so you actually had a fairly thick DC. It wasn't one of those like 400% armor pen or anything like that on your LB. It was fairly defensively oriented or survivability oriented. And your opening crush with Vader took all 3 of Arsenal's like R10 Rey and R9 Ezra and Ben, all of them into damage immunity on the opening move. Like I was like jaw dropping.
Can I say I'm glad you saw that, because it wasn't really a lot of armor penetration doing the heavy lifting, but it was a little bit of tweaks after making him R10. I was able to push him up over 13.5. Bad lad.
It showed.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That was a fun fight. But anyway, Fatal, you were about to say though, going back to the support cron, I know you're going to talk about the bugs. You had a couple other little layers you wanted to go into. But did you happen to, but before you continue, did you see anything I know you tried the EP Starkiller, fine, but Lord Vader, did you give that a go, or?
I do not hold Lord Vader. And to be honest with you, so I will say this. I probably agree with you that Maz. Look, man, you do not get to print like 3 bespoke hard counters to a team and then be like, "Hey, kids, do you want to R10 your Lord Vaders now?" Fuck no. What? Look, man, someone's got to.
Yeah, R10 Lord Vader seems unnecessary when you're basically holding him. Yeah. I will say that I watched that Lord Vader fight versus Rey a couple of times, Tass. Sorry to interject here. And
Yeah.
They won, but they got both sides whirlwinded off. So worth mentioning that I think it's probably close to I don't want to say an auto win, but it feels very consistent as a win. But I don't know how many 50s or 51s you want to put up.
Now, that was Attackercron still, right? But does anybody have any tales from the front lines for support?
It was against support.
Well, what?
That's why
He said support against you. That was support.
Oh, Arsenal did?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I thought that was an Attackercron.
I'm pretty sure it was a support
Well,
cron.
there. I have answered my question. It feels like I'm back in middle school
screen.
again, walking up to the teacher with the math worksheet, and then you're waiting in the line behind the kids, and just as the last one walks away from the teacher's desk, and it's my turn, I figured it out. All right, cool.
Yeah, because Arsenal even said on stream to you that he put the support cron there to try to dissuade Leia.
Oh. Well, then, it is just as well that we ended up using Leia up front. Yeah, that was a nice audible. We'll take that one. All right. Now, for anybody looking back over that VOD, it was always part of the plan, and that was definitely not a decision made in panic. So, good. Yes, back over to you, Fatal. Sorry, please continue.
Sorry, my apologies for interrupting. My apologies.
That's fine. I was just gonna say, someone's got to take the Maz. And my personal leaning or inclination at the moment is all right, let's fucking try this shit. I think the biggest problem with Lord Vader right now is that the clones are bad units. Especially in the current Datacron set. So at minimum, we can try to die with some dignity and like maybe run a healer cron and like maybe try to cost them 5 banners. Or we could even try some scrappy shit and be like, all right, how badly did you phone it in? And like try some sort of like LV Malicos angle as well. I think we just have to go full medieval at this point. Like, I think LV belongs on defense. Someone has to eat the Maz, and I have other teams that I would much prefer to not see get Maz'd in positions to possibly be done so. So I need LV to take that shit. And to that end, some of the old tricks, because God knows the clones aren't going to fucking do it, some of the old tricks, and some of the new tricks, like a healer cron locked healing immunity, plus perhaps could you say a character who prevents revives. Yeah, might have something to say with all this shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see how things go, but yeah, my LV will be on defense, and it's Total War the next couple seasons.
Yeah,
I do think even in threes that LV Apo CX squad had a puncher's chance against any of the Maz combos, and I know feels like the right combo is probably Maz Hondo and Kicks with the Hondo cron. But
the ideal
Go ahead.
combo is
Go.
Maz Kicks S73 with healer cron.
I was about to defend this myself, only because I want to say in my round 2, my opponent teched in Scorch, which, so what was it? Oppo Scorch. I think they dropped CX2. So I think that, if you're depending on locking down Oppo immediately, you don't have Lightning Raid. You have to obey Taunt. So you don't get to do that, and you could very easily lose. And so I went in with Kicks and SM33, and I'm sure against the normal composition, you could probably get a very similar result. But that dispel / buff immunity from SM33 was critical. It was indispensable the fight would have failed for sure if it was any other third character. I'm very confident in that on a sample size of 1. Yeah.
It is shocking how nice SM73 is a lot of the time. Like, you've got that basic that's like remove alter meter and also daze them and also ability block them and also ban them from thinking about playing for the next 2 years. Yeah, you've got the dispel plus buff immunity that also jacks his potency like crazy, which like it was buffed during Attacker Cron, so I never used it, but now that Attacker Cron is perhaps reasonable, that button seems pretty good again. And like, yeah, dude, I don't like. Then his first button is just like, yeah, go kill that guy. Like, if anything, my problem this last week was, sometimes he did too much damage that you would just like punch Lord Vader in the face. It would knock him to half health, and then he would get the Savior back to full. When the entire strat was get kicks to go before Maz so that you could heal block LV before he got the Savior. Like, it was actually possible to have SM33 too good that it was problematic. Yeah, I got nothing but good things to say about that squad right now. It feels clean. The kicks faster than Maz change that I did this week feels excellent.
Oh, can you talk about that? What's up with that?
Yeah, well, pretty much exactly what I said. The Healercron locked healing immunity is crucial for really cutting off, I guess that's what, 33% of LV's effective bulk? Because
and that's initiated at the start of a healer's turn, right?
Yeah, here, I've got the 6 on screen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I had Maz faster than kicks before, and I realized, because when I had Maz faster than kicks, I think I won twice, but I lost once, and I looked at that loss, and I was like, wait, why did this go so horribly? And the reason was, Maz actually has healing immunity on her basic, but because it's 50% base resist chance, the one time that the healing immunity got base resisted, the Maz mass was all of a sudden god-awful. So, yeah, while we got Healercron, I said, what the fuck? We make kicks go first, we cash in that healing immunity, and then we go for the mass, as LV is probably, hopefully, around 60%, 55% health. And, you know, I fought some good LVs this week that had, like, 75, 80% bulk on stats.
Mm-hmm.
It did take some time to chop them down, but we still got the win, still got full banners.
Mm-hmm.
We got there.
Yeah. To your point, though, Fatal, at this point, I would almost rather my opponent uses Maz versus my Lord Vader versus the other things that I'm trying to do. So when you said that, it kind of rung true for me, too, because it's just like, Lord Vader bottom front, just make them Maz it, and then we can just move on. Plus, like, you also said, like, I fought, and I didn't use SM33, and I'm not here to argue whether he's better or worse than Hondo. It sounds like he's better than Hondo on that team. However, I also was using Kix Hondo versus Lord Vader, and one of them was like 70% bulk R10 or something like that, and I had no problem chopping through. And I was just using an Attacker Cron. I know that I stopped using the Pirate Cron after I had a fight get kind of dicey, and I just moved over to light side bulk. But yeah, I can see the Healer Cron just dunking that even harder. I will be trying to look into that turn order for next season too. That does seem way more efficient use of resources, because I think if you were going to set like a shitty third pirate team, Athano Hondo's Quigold's probably better, or Athano Hondo Vane is probably better than SM33 because his AI is kind of doo-doo.
Okay. So, it'll take some considerable doing for me to make that work, because I want to say I have 4 prop primaries on my kicks, and that makes them about 340 in some still pretty fast mods otherwise. I guess and I have my Maz like 360, so it'll be some doing for that. I guess my question to you is, how important is so I'm thinking, is there a workaround for that turn order if I didn't want to change it just by using Maz's third first, or do you think it's indispensable to be able to open up with the mass assist?
I'm pulling up my loadout now, but I'm pretty sure you could just like slow them way down, and it's not a problem.
Okay.
I'm 2 seconds away from the answer.
Because the reason that I sped Maz up to being like 360 is that so if I wanted the flexibility to put her on defense, she would be fast enough to potentially dissuade great mothers. But in practice,
Yeah.
I really haven't been doing that. So
Yeah,
Does
I've got
she actually
kicks.
outspeed Great Mothers? 'Cause I don't feel like she actually outspeeds Great Mothers.
it's the same plus 30. They each have
Okay.
plus 30.
Fair enough.
Yeah, this last week I had 331 kicks, 330 Maz, so
Mm-hmm.
not too terribly strenuous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, is like I can see there's a valid concern, but to my mind, it's like Maz isn't really up for sale for the configuration that I'm in, so it was a easier choice.
I am
Okay.
also not 100% sure that Maz's mods matter all that much because she isn't particularly good on defense. And what she's doing on offense, if there's a way to make it more consistent, I think that's worth the change. Because if you're going to place it on defense, it's because your opponent won't have an answer for it where you place it, as opposed to you're just placing it to place it, I feel. Because she is kind of just like an assassin on offense for max banners. So,
It's
like, why would you
true.
give
She's
that up?
so good. It's not just Sith. Like, I found very productive uses for her outside of
Yeah.
crapping on Sith teams this season. So you're right about that.
If you are posting her on defense, I will say that, like, especially for stuff like QA, and I guess maybe to some degree Great Mothers, although it's only half true. Like, Maz, if your Maz doesn't have high health, high defense, Battle is just gonna like snipe her ass. And like, same for Great Mothers, like if you don't build her for health, Spear's gonna snipe her ass, and so on and so on. Now, like, it does kind of feel like there is something to be said for, or at least, like, I can't even tell you all the matchups that I've seeded in, but I somehow keep on coming down to, is our Maz built for health? No. Okay, she's dead. Like, if I see a high health, high defense Maz, it seems to command more respect from me.
Let me ask you this, though. I mean, I know from the beginning, I set mine up here, speed and defense sets with high prot, because with the intention of, fighting Lord Vader most often, that just intuitively seemed the way. So you think that health doesn't put her at a great disadvantage going into Lord Vader?
No. I'm talking about for Maz posting on defense.
Okay. Got it. Please. Yeah, sorry. All right.
Yeah, no. Like, yeah, 100%. In fact, I think my Maz is literally, my Maz is on 3 defense set, 4 protection primary. Like, just full-blown, and same is probably true for kicks. Yeah, it's also true for kicks. Yeah, it's just, you are basically guaranteed to win Maz versus LV, as long as you don't die. So, yeah, don't do that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, guys. All right, well, all this started with just talking about that one matchup. Thanks, Sasha, for starting us down that very interesting road. Let me throw up a team from my own experience. I just wanted to mention this week, fighting a Mace Depa Ayla, I did take in Riva, and just me not having the kid in mind, the leadership specifically. In most applications of Inquisitors on offense, you're opening up with the ability block. Just makes a lot of sense.
Are you?
Yeah, I think for most. I think personally for most, I do.
Okay. Sorry, I think I lead with Torture like 75% of the time.
Yeah, I think most of my offensive matchups, I'm going with the ability block into Torture. But regardless, especially against Jedi, actually, right? When you're doing that. And so I decided to open up with the AoE, which is, of course, immediately dispelled off of everybody. And then that gets reflected onto my guys as buff immunity, which is crippling just as I'm about to use Torture and put up a bunch of buffs onto nobody. So, lesson learned there. Should have opened up with Torture, and I will keep that in mind, because the win rate was actually very solid on that counter. Very solid.
I countered you last time, and I'm going to counter you this time.
Go for it.
You're playing the fight, and I did the exact same team, fought the exact same team, had no problem doing middle. But my problem with your statement and where you fought the fight is you decided to look at Depa, and when doing the fight, Mace is doing the majority of the work, in my opinion. And if you leave him alone, he will literally single-handedly take your team out by himself. He's amazing.
We can definitely
so
argue.
I did your fight to middle, and then you do the Torture, but you don't focus on the Depa. She's normally slower and a heavier hitter,
Mhm.
your Jedi Master Mace is normally faster and doing things. So I did the middle just like you did, but I put the Torture immediately on Mace to stop him from doing anything. He was dead in 3 turns. Go finish your Depa, and then go take care of the other character. So I took my Inquisitors just like you did. I think I took the healer though, just because I wanted to make sure that if I could reactively keep 7th, protecting my Reva, because obviously the no revive, you're working off the mechanics. But that was just fine. It still came out with good banners, and I was able to work it out and to keep it stable.
Mhm.
But this season, the mace has been amazing. Support and or the setup with the attacker. You just have to respect that mace can single-handedly take out your entire team, and you're left reeling if you aren't
Yes.
playing into it with that mind.
That's fair. That's fair. I definitely was after Depa more, but why would you still open with ability block then, knowing that it gets dispelled and then you get buff immunity on your dudes?
Nobody's getting to move. So the idea is I'm putting as much damage as many things as I can out. So there's no problem in them happening as long as you're controlling the fight. I'm looking for, and with my Kron having the high armor pen crit damage,
Yeah,
I want
you're
as many
saying that you
things
still
moving.
won the fight the same, but I'm saying, is there actually any tactical benefit to not doing torture first? Because then you would have your buffs,
If
and then when
they
you hit them
never-
with
if they
ability block
never
and they put
move-
buff immunity on
Oh,
you, you've got
worth-
buffs.
Worth mentioning, if I was going to lead with the AoE against Mace, I would do GI lead instead of Reva lead.
I did Revive just fine, but
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
what you're
No,
asking
but
is
you
like
get
they
more
have
bulk,
stuff to
you get more bulk, and you're immune to ability block. So, like,
That's
if you're going to
fine.
lead with the ability block, just do GI lead.
But you're
Reva's
not gonna get
revived
that-
anyways, and they
But
don't
you're
really
incorrect
they
though,
don't
because
really
you
defend.
still get the more turns with the GI lead or with the Reva lead. GI gets to do as many things because of Reva's lead and the mechanic applying the setup.
You
So-
actually get more turns in 3v3 on average for your GI with his lead
Okay.
because he gains the turns whenever they get max purge.
Right, but you get max purge from the off rip, from the rip with Reva lead.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that I would, if you're going to lead with the ability block specifically, I think I'd rather do GI lead. Otherwise, I think you'd rather lead with torture.
But how are you getting in front of the team with GI lead?
I mean, you're not really, but my point is that if you're trying to lead with ability block,
Right, but what I'm going off of, Dagger, is the only way this works against mechanics is 25%. Anything else right now is the fact that GI gets the 100% to start the fight. If you
I'm not
don't do
arguing
that,
what I'm saying is I have lost every fight versus JMM where I've led with ability block, and I've won every fight
Okay.
where I've tortured Mace.
Well, good.
Okay.
All right, I appreciate that.
and that's where I'm going. The only thing I'm getting to is that the only reason I was able to work the mechanic of the torture, I still wanted to torture regardless, but I get enough turns by having the Reva lead with the GI, so the middle was okay because my next immediate move was focusing on the ability to focus on the the mace without having to worry of those pieces. So that's where I went with the middle. To why you're asking why I did that task is literally the fact that I'm with the DC that's tied in right now. I was able to move fast enough. So middle was okay, but definitely went immediately right into the next torture of Mace because I knew it was coming.
All right. Well, just briefly here again about Mace Stepa Ayla in a later, my last round against Arsenal. So talking about, you were mentioning, TJ, how great JMM's been on defense. I think most of us figured this out pretty organically that for any opponents that would be attempting Sith Eternal solo against JMM, you could pretty much guarantee that they would lose by putting principally a very high armor penetration stack on the team, JMM and Depa both being decent beneficiaries of armor penetration, and then 25% turn meter essentially seals the deal. Like you're really not going to go for that. So in my round 3, I had the opportunity against a JMM team that was still JMM Depa Ayla, so I would still have to JMM Depa Temple Guard. So I'd still have to negotiate my way around the tank. But it was only like, less around 50% or so armor penetration, very high crit damage, which I cancel out by linking the attackers. And so I thought I could do it. And I was thinking about whether or not to go for the solo. In the end, I was negotiated into taking one character. It was almost GBA, but I'm really happy to say right there at the end, I swapped in my set. My set's a big boy, Relic 9, 4 prop primaries, all defense sets, and wouldn't you believe that he actually lived till the end? It was a 55. So yeah, without that armor penetration there to dissuade Sith Eternal, that can be an option for your opponents.
Yeah, I had a
So-
similar experience where I moved my C into defense mods, fought an armor pen mace, got absolutely fucking eviscerated, switched back to health, all health mods, didn't lose again.
Hmm.
You can link attackers so they don't crit, and you kind of mitigate most of the armor pen by being built for health plus Heidencron
Yeah.
for the 80%
Yeah, I
max
think the setup really became the temple guard. I feel like the attacker cron got nerfed, yes, but with the mace, it still feels super strong. That's what I
Yeah.
said. I don't really give it got mitigated at all. If you had attacker cron on your mace team and then you put the combine the temple guard, you didn't get to do this. These C solos just didn't get to work the mechanics, in my opinion.
Yeah.
From what I saw, and it was just like nothing you could do about it because it was just such a. You're also making the super team, right? You're saying Beck, you're out. And we've talked about it here before, but man, when you put the support cron on there, I don't care the setup. C gets to come in and play the game again because you just lock out all of the damage they're going to try to do to you. And that's what I generally saw, where you had to respect what it was putting in.
Other
Also,
quick
we're still
honorable
talking-
mentions here from me.
Oh, I had one too.
Yeah. Let me slip in real quick and be done. Balin Shin Marok did let me down against JMK Cat Ezra, so I took in a pretty sizable, I want to say, attacker cron, and yeah, we just didn't really get it done. So I'll just note that Riva got that one cleaned up. Against Dooku, GGB2, against a couple different Dooku-led teams this season, Wampa Solo was a solid 58. This one lost for me, and I think it was because of higher damage on the Kron, because essentially they were able to get Wampa under 100% health. Then Dooku Lead forced the healing immunity tenacity down, and the work was done for them from there. So I wanted to just note that, a few rounds this season, I was just trouncing them. And actually a reasonable amount of damage on there was able to shut me down. Because I really was fretting with that, because I know I had the potency tenacity check right. So I was like, how did that happen? And I remember, I got reminded, Dooku Lead, yeah.
You can solve that problem by just holding your slam for like 2 turns until that happens.
You say that, but go back and see the fight, because essentially I'd forced the healing immunity tenacity down onto myself before I had the opportunity to click a button.
I will.
So,
And then
The
your
only thing I
slam,
told you
didn't,
to-
your slam didn't remove it, or
the lock thing? No. So here's how it goes.
lock.
They hit me, and then before I can take a turn, I have the 10 down. Then I get stunned by Dooku, and that's how my Wampa never took a turn.
okay,
Yeah. It was a non-participation story, is what that was. Yeah.
gotcha. Okay,
Now the last one I want to
do
mention.
like
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. I was just saying, what made it nice is seeing the variations of the Dooku setup or whatever you want to try to do. The D Team G was still the moneymaker.
Yeah, they
Almost
were all
any
killed.
variation was a. Yeah. It's like
I found
it
that
was
team
novel,
pretty mediocre
but
because you could 57 it with a team you weren't going to use otherwise.
yeah, that's what I came up to against Yama, and I was telling Tass that it felt like D-Rack and Yama do like kind of we do, where it's like I saw the same team, but it's like, oh, D Team G should just absolutely just crunch the numbers on what you're trying to do here, and it was still super clean.
Dig that. And then last for me, against Lord Vader Oppo CX2, Bane Sass has been working for a lot of people, and I'll tell you this much: 2 things happened that were wrong that caused me to lose that match. First, on Bane's opener, I did the normal, third ability, do the cooldown increase, start stacking health, and then I was thinking to myself, just after Oppo's turn here, they're going to have a bunch of buffs, so why don't I just basic Lord Vader here and save that so that I can follow up on it? And unfortunately, my sass was dead before I got to come around to his next natural turn. So I'll consider that an error, that I should have just done both AoEs and let the chips fall as they did, because then I would have been immediately reset anyway. And honestly, if that's how I felt about it, just after I would have been reset, I could have done the middle again to get rid of all that buffs and then follow up with the third. That said, though, after I did get reset there, we had almost killed CX2. We'd already survived a barrage of attacks with Order 66 on us. We did the third. CX2 was in the red, under stealth, hiding for me. Then we did the middle, and yeah, then the fucker dodged. And then he dodged the basic right after that. And then we died. So, that being said, I'd like to introduce you gentlemen to the new and improved Darth Bane, who is now Relic 10, who now has an additional, what was it, like 13% something accuracy, something like another 12.5% accuracy added by the Relic, in addition to all the goodies. So here we are, just under 150k, 250 speed, crit damage triangle, 11.9 offense, 75% crit chance, and 32.5% accuracy. So
What
eat
Tess
shit,
isn't telling you is
CX2.
that what Tess isn't telling you is that his secret first mistake was not using Maz.
Yeah, but I had Maz assigned in another place, and it worked exactly
Bane
where it was meant to work.
Bane would have killed that. Bane would have killed that at a higher percentage. Anyway, I'm just giving you shit.
Yeah, and really, it's actually extraordinarily brazen of you, because you were telling me that if you weren't going to do Maz, Bane would be your answer. Because, by the way, both Dagger and one of my patrons that was hanging out with me in the chat dissuaded me off of going Seer Malicos Starkiller, which was Plan A. We went to Bane, Bane bombed, and then wouldn't you know it, Seer Malicos Starkiller 37'd it immediately after. So nice. Reason of you for just joshing with me after.
Representing a fair amount of this conversation, because what actually happened is he said, "What would you use versus Lord Vader?" And I said, "Maz." He's like, "Haha, what would you use if you didn't?"
Yeah, but I said I wasn't going to do that. Yeah, and then you said, and then I accurately quoted you as saying,
and trying to pawn off the entire blame of this loss onto me for some reason.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I think we all saw on the stream that you were literally behind me with the gun to my head. So I think we all understand that you forced me into this situation, and it's important that you're held to account. All right, that really is everything for me meta-wise, guys. Step into the fore.
Can I
Can
I ask two things real quick that I liked? I know you said that the R10 Bane is great, but it's the one thing I'll give for the meta stuff I was looking at and got to do for round 3. Darth Vader Kron, putting him in the place of Nihilus because you get to keep the Rex. Nihilus, I still think that was a fun team for this season.
That's kind of cool. Yeah,
absolutely awesome use. But I'll give it the second use. To your point, Bane Darth Vader with the Darth Vader Kron was a crusher of LV, and that was one of my ones that I was utilizing. And then spreading the resources of the attacker, Bane with Dre was doing God's work as well. So to the point of your LV, the Dre, amazing there. The Darth Vader with the Darth Vader Kron made me R9 my Darth Vader almost immediately because it's been so useful. But the Treya with the Savage and the Darth Vader was just money because of the setup of what you're doing here. So if you don't have your Nihilus because you wanted to keep the Rex with it, because I again still think it was a fun team for one of the 15, that was pretty awesome.
I like it. Good stuff. Others, gentlemen, other meta matchups you wanted to highlight?
Am I allowed to give mine now?
Please.
I really like the Boba Fett focused Datacron team. That team got the most holds out of fucking everything I said. Because as long as you draw Malgus out in front, it's GL or bust for the most part. And it was just a lot of fun. Because when people are like, "Oh, it gets Malgus," like that's cool. I got Zori and this on these other couple teams up front, and then people just ate shit on it repeatedly, over and over again. And I don't even know how the team works. I'm going to be honest. I never fought this on an even playing field once. It was like I C-sold it once, I JMK catted it once, and then I DTMG'd it a couple times. Or no, I Malgus it a couple of times. So I never fought this team on like an even playing field with like trying to beat it with a real team. So I don't really know what the team does outside of like just reading the mechanics or where the fail points are. But I definitely know that my opponents ate shit with things like Balin, and that was really fun to see.
Fair.
This was like the secret MVP tucked in my back wall because everyone said this team was ass. That's like, you're right. This team is ass. Beat it.
It's just your Darth Revan setup. Go ahead.
I liked it on offense, so I ended up using it. I beat a Reva GI Seventh Sister squad pretty comfortably with it. I beat a what else was there? There was an annoying squad that I saw from a couple of the folks, the Herbert and his Gildy set. That was the Darth Vader, Tarkin, and Scorch combo, which is surprisingly effective. I mean, Tarkin's got high survivability. Vader's there hanging around for a while. It worked comfortably against that. So, and I think there were a few other options. I can't recall what they were off the top of my head, but yeah,
I'll give
I
you
liked it on
another good
offense.
one.
Yeah, go TJ.
On offense, and it was cool. Yama told me about it. He's found the data, and I told Tass about this when we were plotting it out. Your saw with your big bulky setup for the attacker cron. Yama took it against my variation, which is I stacked the team pretty hard, and with the turn meter setup, just because that was showing more things to drop, like your Balins, and he took that for like a 55. So he didn't lose anybody, and it was just some limited data. But seeing it drop that, and then my Balin failed against his, that was another really strong setup that I think even for next season, we'll come into that. It's going to be pretty hardcore.
I think these focused datacrons are deceptively good. Like the HK cron is going to see a ton more use in 5s, but even in 3s, I can't tell you the amount of people who jammed Poe on random teams, and I had to rethink my life a couple of times. Right?
Yeah, I saw that. They did.
It's like one of those things where it's like, okay, this is going to do X, Y, Z, so I have to try to do X, Y, Z. And like TJ said, even the Rexcron has some uses. Like, I don't think you should be putting Nihilist there per se. Well, it's cute. I don't know how good it is, but it's cute. But yeah, just the Rex 5s thing, or the Rex. I saw Rex Arc 5s, which was pretty slick too. But yeah, I think that there's something to this. I even saw Gas Rex 5s with this. I know it doesn't work because Rex isn't in the leader slot or whatever, but
yeah.
Like
well, everything but that first clause does work, though. It's only that first clause that requires his leadership.
Oh yeah, but what I was saying is that the defense there's not a lot of defense in these sets. So having 145% defense on this stat profile is massive. Like,
I do wonder how much all of this changes in an environment when we come back, where obviously one set is dusted, but or there's some change in the data front. But we are going to have so many people, particularly at the really competitive cover 1 level, who have these perfectly optimized data class. And I wonder if the FTCs start to I don't know, to shine less relative to I don't know.
I think we'll be okay.
I think they will if they don't have specific mechanics you're trying to use. I think
that's my thing. Is like
the stats are going to be basically not, except for the 145% defense on the Rexcron. I think the rest of the Datacron the rest of the Focus Datacron stats are just not going to be better than having infinite rerolls.
I think the mechanics will still be nice, though. So I think to your point of what you're doing, Sasha, there are some different mechanics to get to. I like the Poe one. So the Poe being anywhere and applying the fear, if you're not trying to outspin the mechanics, you can get screwed over pretty well. So I still think it'll have some kind of merit to be novel or cheeky or something else you want to add in, depending on where you want to play it.
Yeah, man. And can I just say, Tarkin DCT Scorch was just dope for me on offense against Afra BT1 Poe, against Keller and Jocasta Temple Guard, against a couple other things, man. That team tore it up, and to boot, it was doing a fine job in any of these applications using a set 24 cron. So it was not a competitor for attacker, support, whatever. Yeah. I really enjoyed that.
Was kind of my main misconnection of the season. I mean, I was checked the fuck out of the season because attacker cards were killing everything. So, but especially with dark side buffs. So maybe he'll be less nuts now. But if I'm okay, what if we take him a real stab? There are arguments you could make. This isn't an immediate thing I'm rushing towards, but he might be within top 10 on the list. He does make usage of R10 decently well. I mean, the man's crit chance is kind of ass, and if you want him to
I
be
see.
the big dog,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this much. I did a couple offensive fights with that team with set 24 Kron having Dark Side buffs level 3 and with bulk. When I did Dark Side buffs level 3, I did lose DCT. I think it would feel a lot better if I could just pick it on paper. I would run a set 24 bulk level 3 with crit damage and armor penetration. Truthfully, though, I think it would probably be armor penetration almost entirely, because for my money, if you see any of my fights with it on offense, the biggest value of DCT, like, if somebody has Order 66, then they're going to get nuked out by the unique anyway. It doesn't really matter what your actual damage is on DCT. And then outside of that, I was mostly trying to keep him under stealth as often as possible so I could use his basic to stun. That was most of his purpose. As far as actually killing anybody went, it was ultimate firepower that was getting it done, and the Kron that I used had that bulk level 3. I didn't lose DCT, but it took a long time to get through that fight because it was heavy on crit damage and not on armor pen. So, yeah, if I had to do it all over again, bulk level 3, armor penetration on the stat, maybe some extra survivability besides, because you definitely get pushed into your protection ups and whatnot. Like, for example, that Afra BT1 Poe, that did put the survivability on that Kron to some test.
I have bad news.
Yeah. I suspect it's exactly what I was thinking, and that is the
yeah, right.
usability of armor pen.
No, you're right. Yeah, the resistance. Wait a minute. No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. Hold on.
I have a variety of bad news.
No. Wait. Before you say it. Wait. It is special. Yeah. So the crit damage, so this is what I was thinking at the time in the fight is, man, the crit damage really isn't doing anything. I wish I had a penetration stat. But yes.
So
yeah, I mean, I guess, let's see. I guess then I should pick for potency on the stat then to ramp him.
His special crit chance is very low. So you are probably just not critting. Which is why
I've done a little bit of work pushing his special crit chance up. So I'd like to
if you did the work, fair enough. I did do that in the past as well, and I was not impressed by him. So I that's why the first 2 weeks I had him kind of shitty. And frankly, the only thing that brought me back to him was remembering, fuck, right, Dark Side buffs exists. That means that he can just get to 75 and then cheat to 100 and then have crit damage up, offense up on top, and that probably feels pretty good. And it did seem good, but now that that's gone, I'm kind of skeptical again.
I mean, I honestly have him in a crit chance triangle because I don't feel like he crits enough for the crit damage triangle.
I mean, that's just a question of mod quality and Datacron accessible. Right, you could easily build a bespoke 1 crit chance roll, the rest crit damage rolls if you really wanted, and then tune your mods to breach 100% with the crit chance.
Yeah, that's fair.
The other thing I was gonna shout out is, I'm gonna be real, I think DCT sucks ass, actually. This was more so just a plan for efficiency gaming, but I might actually just explore it more elsewhere.
I did this to Task 2 weeks ago, and he called me insane. So
for what?
Well,
for what?
Me saying that I thought DCT was not great, and I was thinking of cutting him from the Lord Vader team, and you called me insane.
I can tell you it crazy.
I can tell you that in Insight, Tarkin was 58ing Tuskens. You cut DCT, you just run Tarkin Scorch.
Yes, so I did a couple duos this season as well. That is the power couple for sure.
So that kind of got the creative juices flowing for me of okay, Tarkin is probably the dumbest Arton I could consider because that one with the use case slips, that motherfucker is just a wasted investment. But it was still just all right, we're in a window. Is this maybe interesting as a power play, but it's also useless in 5v5, so I have zero interest to really do it yet. But it's again, if we're talking what Arton does and doesn't give, he would like the potency, the crit chance, even crit avoidance tenacity would be solid for if you're doing a 2-man power couple. It's not out of range. It does use it decently. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Tarkin's stock is rising, though. I'm glad we're all kind of seeing that.
especially in 3. I used him a lot more in 3s versus other shit. And to Fatal's point, I used a lot of buffs on basic. And there was a couple where I used bulk because I was a little nervous about the 2-man or DCT randomly dying because he's made of tissue paper and kind of doo-doo. But yeah, I definitely used him more this season than I thought I was going to. And it really has to make me rethink my defense if Tarkin is going to be like a reliable offense option, because I'm not saying you can target anything on my defense, but now that I have to have it in mind as it's something other people will be using when I'm setting my defense.
I just didn't. Like, I guess maybe I'm one of the only ones. Like, I'm pushing the potency, and the both Datacron sets have the potency stack. Tarkin's entire world lives based on the potency setup of what you're going to try to push, because your true damage is coming from what he's applying. I get there's protection up, and don't get me wrong, there's other pieces to it, but like that, you're literally getting free wins the more you try to stack that.
It's a math problem, and I don't know the answer because he stacks potency infinitely. So in theory, like more potency on top, I don't imagine would do too much.
Well, I'm sorry. Here, so I'm sorry. Let me try this. Like, the DCs have potency built into it, so you can just we're talking the ones you get to take even both sets right now. So even on the next season, it's you don't have to push much, which means you can push into some of the other things. Does that help with what I'm trying to say, I guess?
I think that's pretty
I don't
cool.
know what I'm looking for with him, so it helps. It doesn't help at the same time. I'm just like, fuck. I don't know what the optimal Tarkin looks like because I've gotten such mixed results trying so much different shit.
I can see what you're saying on DCT being the optional though, because the bulwark, right? The Grand Arena with the bulwark, it's basically saying put Scorch here. So I could see is like maybe I want to put Apo in, or I want to do something else with your other character, because that's really the tie-in back and forth.
Isn't that shit?
Sorry.
No, doesn't Tarkin or Scorch, like, I know Tarkin has his own savior, but then isn't there another savior on top? DCT is just such a liability that I feel like the motherfucker just steals one savior from Tarkin and then dies anyway. Like, all right, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, I will say that I think the best Tarkin, and again, none of us really know what the best Tarkin is right now, but I'd be willing to bet that the best Tarkin has either a potency cross or a potency small set.
Definitely, I cultivated one of these, right? It's high offense on the secondary, crit chance as well, since I decided to go for the whole damn thing, right? I wanted the high crit chance, I wanted the crit damage triangle, I wanted the potency, I wanted a reasonable base of speed, so I went for it all and got most of it.
And that's where it's like I saw a couple different ways that Tarkin was being used that was really awesome. One, the support setup, because he's supportive, you're putting those supports and then stealthing, and then the ability for them to not hide. So those mechanics of you're trying to get through a really beefy Scorch on the setup. I know I tried Adamant on that, and then because I kept hitting the other supports, they would hide, and then Scorch would just be left out in the open, and that dude is not going anywhere with Bulwark. So nothing I could do to play with this. So, but on this is the idea of just to comment on it. The level 6s that we have right now, mixed with the Tarkin mechanics, I could easily see you want to do the Apple here if you wanted to, because that's just gonna all of that debuff being applied, and then an AoE goes out, that's gonna hurt. So the level 6 mechanics right now get to play a lot of the game of what you're trying to do, depending on how you want to use them.
Yeah, I like the Tankron because, man, Scorch is with Bulwark so thick, and whenever you crit him,
rough.
he gains health and protection. So it's just like, hi, I have Bulwark, you can't hurt me. Also, I heal every time you touch me. Fuck you.
Really smart.
Yeah.
And
doesn't Scorch assists lower cooldown, and if you just cut the third, wouldn't you just like turbo cycles Tarkin cooldown?
I think so.
Ah, that's slick.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by the setup of the mechanics of level 6. And what's cool to the point of it is that we have health in there if we want to do protection up or whatever we're trying to use, and then the potency build in. So all of these little pieces just add into what can be a monstrous team. If you're trying to just I'll just take something small, well, then you're screwed.
Yeah, I see Tassin looking at the screen, looking at the basic, like, oh, shit.
Pretty nice. No, I like it. That's solid theory. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I
when
just
was
kind of
doing the cooldown,
accidented. I kind of, just thought that I didn't need DCT because of some history I saw. Wasn't thinking about how this comes together so well. That's very nice.
Yeah, I was using
Very nice.
Tankron on the 2-man because I tried, like I was saying, I tried Buffs on basic, and then DCT was doo-doo, kept dying, and I tried bulk, and then DCT still felt like he was dying. And then I was just like, you know what? I didn't even think about the cooldown when I put the Tankron on, because I was thinking more like, man, with Bulwark, you can't hurt him. And then
Right.
yeah, like you said, with the cooldown reduction, it's like, oh, this is
Yeah,
silly.
you're not the DCTs, whatever, man. You're trying to kill Tarkin because Tarkin being left
Yeah.
unchecked is going to. That's like the old school mechanics of Tarkin will delete a team if he's unchecked, and if you can't get through the tank, or if the tank comes back and he just gets to hide, those pieces together leave a bad time.
Fair. All right, guys, we're just a little over an hour into our recording
Really
here.
quick.
I want to give us just a few minutes here to briefly summarize our thoughts about the meta overall. I know you guys like to do that, the meta and review. I think we're probably going to be a little less rainbows and sunshine than we otherwise might be. For my part, I'll just say, it was very deflating to have the first 2 weeks of experience flushed. I'm glad they did not force me into some kind of situation where I really needed to think about walking away from the game by actually restoring the crons. I think if any solution did not involve restoring your crons to you, that probably would have been the end of the road for me, honestly, because I wouldn't have been able to stomach that. But that would have, them reverting that was okay for me. The make good has caused some other problems, but yeah, overall the season was meh, and like I said, I don't think I'll be back into a really normal frame of mind about thinking about the game until after set 25 is expired, but I'm grateful at least for a solid third week of all real matches. Yeah. How about you guys? What do you have to say?
The make good was complete fucking AIDS. And yeah, I don't know.
I've
Yeah.
in 10 years of whatever it is of playing this game, I've never seen a bigger misstep in the entire career of CG, and this is saying a lot. But combining what I call the D-Day of CG, in one step, I've never seen so many bad decisions taking place to where I almost feel like everybody who with any thought process would look at this hesitation would be upset and like, are we really making the right decision? I've bombarded so much, so bad, so once.
Yeah. Here, just answering a quick question here from the chats. People are still not clear about when you're using JML and JML's getting protection from a Datacron. As far as figuring into damage done by his leadership ability, we all call it coin. I think it's inherited lessons. You only the protection that the team gains from the stat on the cron figures into the power of that skill.
Oh.
Any survivability granted by levels 3, 6, and 9 abilities does not figure into that damage. It's strictly the stat on the cron.
I want to say this has been the long visited of like, if you look at Malgus gets to take a part of what we're doing, and you look at some of the other characters who dive in on this and it works, but then you think JML, who's inherently one of like, oh, he lives off protection. Why doesn't this work this way? And it's that has been the longest running one of like, why can't this work like every other one works? Because everybody else seems to inherit and live on this.
This change, what happened with the Datacrons reminds me of, and I'm going to turn the clock back like 4 years, 5 years. Do you guys remember Malik, when he came back and they were awarding shards for the second run?
Oh yeah,
maybe.
This reminds me a lot of that because we all had our Maliks turned back or rolled back, except mine still had 6-dot mods at 5-star gear 11, and they couldn't really roll that back. So there were some people like myself who just had 6-dot mods on their 5-star gear 11. But to TJ's point, like this felt like this make good felt like we're going on vacation tomorrow.
Yeah.
Fuck y'all.
I mean, dude, if we want to dissect that, we can go in. I don't want to keep. We could go to that one for the questions and answers. Like, I know we want to keep it just to be honors of everybody's time and all that. If we want to keep that to the end of it, so if we're looking at the meta, if that's what we're talking about, are we summarizing here, Tass? Or are we doing like
No,
our favorites?
we're not.
What is
We're
this
doing
one?
this segment. I know I took us off course by answering that question out there, but I wasn't gonna want to type all that out, so that's
Right.
my bad. But we're supposed to be talking about
Mhm.
season in review, so let's limit it to that. Right
Season
now.
in review.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't have a problem with them nerfing the attacker cron.
Yeah, the
don't have a
nerf itself
problem with
was
them
not the
restoring-
grievance. Yeah, for sure.
I
No.
don't. Yeah. I don't have. I'm just gonna finish my point and then I'll let you guys talk because I really don't have that much to say on this. And then the reverting everyone's crons was dumb. Putting everyone's crons back was fine. The make good was the part that is going to make this miserable for the next 3 months. And this wasn't even like the worst thing they did over the weekend. It was Maul error level 85 that was the thing that annoyed me the most. And I'll just kind of like leave it at that because otherwise I'm going to have a lot more just really mean things to say.
All right.
Fair?
Season in review. I'm okay with the data crons as they were. Attacker, I knew where I was going to be at the top. I knew what I was getting into. So I set my mind and paid my dues based on it. I know Fatal said he checked out, but I walked in knowing I'm playing the top people. They're going to have better stuff. I know I need to account for it, and I was okay. So for season in review, I was okay. I was one way or the other because I set myself up. I put more money in because I needed to based on who I knew I was going to fight. That is what it is. So there's season in review. I'll leave the others to the afterpiece.
To be clear, I had 15 attacker crowns. Like it
I had
wasn't
21.
I wasn't complaining because I didn't want a rat race. My complaint was
No.
it was a dog shit product that I didn't want to interact with, even
No,
though I had the fuckers.
That's why I got off season in review. Fatal, you had stated you had checked out. I was just making the comment of it. I was okay with where we're at because what was on paper, and I understood it was super strong, so I paid for the purchase. Now, again, nothing else to what you said, Fatal. It was just I know you said I'm checked out of this season. I walked in, felt like I did my homework okay, and then the dynamics of the rules changed. Where we're at mid-season. So overall for the season for me was okay, even to the losses, right? I took some losses, but I got to learn some fun things, pieces. So it was all right.
Sasha, I don't think we heard from you.
Yeah, sure. So I'll I don't want to belabor the Datacron stuff. I think we've touched on a lot. I think my emotional journey with it was similar to what you described, Tass. There's fragility and frustration and a lot of other stuff there with it for me. But putting that aside, the one thing I will say, I was really disheartened with my first match this week. Like I said, when the guy basically set 1 GL and then held 9, held everything, and that was just not fun for me. And I'm hopeful that as things keep going, that defensive viability has a spot in the game. I was thinking, wouldn't it have been neat if we had used, I think it was my kickball analogy, where if you clear a board once, you get to go twice or 3 times. That would have been applicable, something along those lines. And then I kind of take with that one. There was an interview with one of the developers at CG that I saw, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. And I think the interview was probably 4 to 6 weeks ago, maybe 1 to 2 months at least old. But they talked about a lot of stuff that they had worked on behind the scenes, including like synchronous battles and other things so in other words, the ability to fight people in real time. And I'm not saying that hey, wouldn't it be great if that comes? I think it would be fun. I think it'd be a neat element. I think it has certain practical challenges in terms of timing and other stuff, but I'd love that. But what I would really value, and I think would be neat, and I felt a dire need for it in the past week, was some sort of infusion of additional PvP depth, optionality, and just abilities to engage. We are all so deep a decade deep into this game, or close to a decade in many of our cases, that I would love to have broader applications of like these rosters we've built, this institutional knowledge in the game that we've all been nurturing. Like, it'd be a lot of fun to do that in different ways or deeper on a GAC board. And I'm starting to feel that like pretty intensely as people understandably realize that if you're playing sheerly to try and win, that in certain cases, going extremely offense heavy is a not only a viable but maybe the optimal path to win. And then that really undermines my personal enjoyment. So that's just a subjective, but nonetheless, like, to me personally, an important thing. So that's where I am right now. I'm really hoping that at some point we see something on a PvP, like something new, something deeper. It doesn't have to be radically new. It could just be a deeper or enhanced version of GAC. But I'd like to see more.
I can. Oh fuck! I haven't done my shit. What should I do first? Okay. You're feeling where I was 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I know the onus is on me to prove I'm climbing. Y'all will see me shortly. I don't think cheese is the optimal way to play, and it will be up to me to do the work and prove it. But I do think meta health is going to be restored shortly, or at least I will be able to put down an ultimatum of cut this shit out or you're going to lose. And I think that will hopefully help restore some balance, because right now, for the way the dynamics are looking and the way the scores are looking and the way that I'm balling their match histories and seeing the mistakes they're making, if you hold 9 GLs, you are signing your death sentence, because that very likely means that you are posting some shit that I will gladly eat up for banners, and I am posting some shit that you are not going to be able to do the same on.
Mm-hmm. They'll be able to max banner your whole board, and you'll be able to, 66 plus their whole board.
Yeah, that's the hope. And that's not to say that my playstyle will become everyone has to play this or lose. If anything, I think it'd be the opposite. I think that's why I call it a restoration of balance, is because if cheesing has a counter, then, well, there are other ways to counter potentially what I'm doing, and that will create its own rat race. But at that point, it's no longer cheese versus cheese. It's right that gets the wheel turning again, and now it's like, I mean, look, I've said it indirectly before. I'll say it directly now. Hard defense, hard counters is shit that I'm trying to do, like, pretty effectively. I constantly live in fear of people posting a hard defense, but they never do, so it just doesn't happen to me. But yeah, right, like, that is the hope for me for, like, yeah, did I fuck around and waste kind of a month because of this stupid shit? Yes. I don't know if it's gonna, it feels like I can get back on the track, but Sec 25 is probably gonna make things nuts, where it's not just gonna be, right, it's like I had just hit my stride. My winner was going crazy. My scores are going crazy. This is going to be a puzzle, but to seamlessly segue into my season thoughts, at the very least now, I think the meta seems insanely healthy, insanely creative. I did call out that, like, support card is maybe disproportionately good, but I also called out immediately that, like, hey, it's also disproportionately bad, because you could just lose that shit immediately if you lose one character. So, like, I mean, I can tell you right now, I did a full draft of my shopping list, and the least represented Kron on the shopping list was Healer Kron, but then I can tell you, as I was playing, I kept on saying, okay, Maz, Healer Kron, sure. Actually, this JMO fight lost, and I would have won if I had a Healer Kron. Or, this other fight potentially would have worked well if I had a Healer Kron. We're talking about LV, stuff like that, right? Support and tank Kron have lots of use cases. Like, I can shout out random examples. You post DR lead on defense with tank Kron. That does some fun things for putting pressure on Gungans. Bad Batch with tank Kron actually did well for me on defense, although I'm not necessarily vouching for that. I haven't seen the history. I don't know why they did so well, but I can tell you that they have been doing well. Yeah, support Kron I think is extremely good. I don't mean to sound like an attacker cron down player. I'm not necessarily saying no team should run attacker cron, but it's a lot more now of like, think about the strategic considerations for like why it is good and why you might want to run it now versus just like before where it. I mean, 3v3 it wasn't blanket, 5v5 it was very much blanket. But I mean, to put up a perfect example, if healer crons were my least common on the shopping list, I think the biggest strength of attacker cron right now is in a lot of cases the taunt ignore, which hey, we were talking about support cron. Taunt ignore, you get to go straight for the support. Sounds like a good thing to be doing as a rock paper scissors counterplay. But like a healer cron, that's a permanent lock debuff. That shuts off the taunt ignore. So that's also like a rock, paper, scissors dynamic going on there, right? There's just a lot of, I think, very interesting push and pull. And then to that end as well, I think I don't think CG handled this excellently. I think at least a heads up would have gone a long way. But I am actually very excited for everyone to just have insane, like limitless, if you can think of it, they can run it and just let everyone ball the fuck out and see what happens, level the playing field.
It is interesting that if you'll accept the premise that I'm offering you guys here, if everybody has all bonkers, crazy, insane datacrons, then nobody has an advantage from datacrons, meaning that for the remainder of the set 25 meta, added relics and better mods will disproportionately shine for the first time since datacrons were implemented, really? Does that sound like a fair statement to you guys?
I would just say, like, treat this as like a weird seasonal one-time game mode or something, right? Or just like, it's literally fucking Earth mode in League or something like that, right? Imagine if CG was just like, hey, for this season, we're trying this shit out. Everyone's fucking crazy. If you can think of it, you can build it. Like, I think if you can get past the series of events and just take the product as it is, I think it's actually a pretty fucking good product right now, to be honest, right? Like, I mean, look at how much we were stumbling over each other trying to talk, trying to get ideas out. There's sauce out there right now, and there's a lot of sauce we have not discussed, and I expect that there will be a lot of sauce we continue to discuss. I think my personal thought, since I haven't really talked about it, I think my opinion on where things landed, I think if they could have given Arton mats vaguely relative to spending, because I know like people out there spending multiple 4 digits and they can't just be like, here's 20 Artons to equal how much you spend on datacrons. That probably is not ideal either. But if they could have just done a make good of Arton mats, the heavy spenders, I feel like that probably would have smoothed things over a little bit better. I think a heads up would have smoothed things over a little bit better. But yeah, man, I think short term, like, support cron bugs notwithstanding, there's some crazy shit happening out there. I think this is actually going to be a pretty fun time for the game.
All right. Well, guys, thank you. I think we captured everybody's feeling there at wrapping up the season in review. Let's get into some Q&A here, just to keep us, inside of 2 hours. Let's spend about 20 or so minutes on this.
One thing really quick, I just wanted to add something to Fatal about the cheesing.
Briefly,
I know I've talked
please,
to some of the people at the top end, and some of the people who do a little bit more of the cheesing. It has more to do with lack of wanting to engage in the game mode, in the sense that we're going to get into some of this in the questions, which is why I wanted to bring it up now. GAC is not, for a lot of people, GAC is not a good enough game mode to sit down and plan out all your moves. And if you're not willing to do that, generally the easiest way to avoid getting caught out is to cheese. So it also comes from a complacency or a laziness. Not saying that the top end guys who are doing it are that. Just saying in general that if you're going to place a heavy defense, the onus is on you now to have to grind out your offense. And that takes a lot of effort from a lot of people. So I know that's why a lot of people I talk to place lighter defenses, etc.
All right.
I would still point to how I tend to approach things as I think feeling more sustainable. Like I do not scout, I do not prep. It's more so just I am a walking bundle of accumulated battles, and it's very much just like, yeah, right. We're not trying to sit here and spend hours of like pre-planning or whatever, like plan out every turn. So what am I doing? I play a battle, it loses, I go, shit, what happened? And then I like figure out what happened, and like, all right, I'll fix it in week 2 mods. I can figure out there. And then week 2, I'll maybe go 2-1 with the counter and be like, shit, what happened? And there was some niche bullshit.
Yep.
It's like, fuck, I gotta fix it in mods. All right, we'll have it for week 3. And then once you reach that end of that process, you just have that in future seasons, as long as it wasn't seasonal. Or if it was seasonal, you get it for the next 3 weeks and you'll be good from there. You don't have to like obsessively per round, right? The per round is the shit that I try to avoid, just because, yeah, I do not feel that is sustainable unless you derive a lot of pleasure from it.
And that's me.
Fair.
Yes, I was going to
Fair,
say, Tass and I have been relevantly stable in the plotting and scheming part. I think started with me, Tass, and then Dagger is doing it. And that's literally where it came from, because I also enjoy the deep scout on a player and going down the wormhole for the day and putting them the time and effort, only because my time allows for it. Don't get me wrong. I don't comment anybody's point, and everybody plays their want of I don't scout or I do. I like to do the scout. I like to do my homework. I like to look at it. That's I am literally the meme of the dude who's writing out literally on paper for It's Always Sunny. I'm that guy. I don't smoke, but I might as well have the cigarette in my mouth, because I'm over here going down a wormhole, and Tass will say, all right, look, you've had your 30 minutes to an hour, and now I'll come back to me, because I'm over here just talking out loud for the ADHD side of things. So I live in that world, and I enjoy it. That is part of my enjoy of the game.
Very good. Guys, I'm going to have to cut you off there. We got to get into the Q&A so that I can get you out of here at a reasonable hour. I mean, we can sit here all night, but my guess is you guys have some plans within the next 48 hours. So let me not impinge on that.
Not like the next 2 hours, no.
I mean, whatever. I mean, this can go for as long as you guys. I mean, you know, whatever. Anyway, let's get into the first question here from Stelios. How many teams would you add, or what would you change to give GAC a fresh coat of paint? I mean, for me, briefly, it just. We've talked about some other things, like an extra zone that rotates its position. That's something that I like. The idea of, you know, each round, that's not each week, each round, that zone's in a different spot. And you have to prepare, because 3 out of 4 zones are squads, so you'll have to fight some more squads in that zone. Occasionally it's going to pick fleet, and now you got to fight all these fleet battles with some dusty, bumpy fleets from the back of your roster, man. It could be fun, at least from variety's sake. That's really what I need. I think just adding teams is kicking the can, and it's also something where I think one of the CG's successes in recent times is having a very mindful approach to how they want to continue to expand the game with respect to how much time you're actually spending in it, right? Like, for all the faults of Coliseum, them having taken your focus out of galactic challenges means that, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm generally just doing my 1 Coliseum per day and phoning it in on auto. This takes considerably less time for me on a couple times a week basis that you otherwise would have to do in the Galactic Challenge system. You know, the era battles, when that's in, I just go to that last rank fight, I put it on auto, and yeah, I mean, I collect my rewards. Like, so them being respectful of our time is good, and I think that just expanding the board itself is taking us in the wrong direction. We would either need something where we're adding a really new dimension onto the existing GAC board. I'm also open to them coming at me with a complete replacement for Grand Arena Championship, something new, something interesting. I would embrace that. What say you, gentlemen?
I think the easiest way to change the way we approach GAC is, you know how we have eras? Just have era bonuses to all three ground zones. Right? You know, they used to do that with TW. They used to have bonuses to the ground zones. They don't have to be major. Just be like, hey, Pirates, like this current one that we're in is like these random teams, so I don't know how you do that. But like the last era was Pirates, for example. So let's just say the bottom front zone, Pirates got 10% more health, protection, potency, tenacity, offense, and defense. Like, make fights different. So then you have to decide, oh, my opponent's just going to use their SOK. So do I put my Hondo up top, or do I put him down here with the bonuses? I think that's like one of the only ways we really have to like not scrap the whole system, because adding more teams is not going to be the answer. Tass talked about like I already feel like this game asks too much from me time-wise, and it's not Conquest, and it's not TB, and it's not Coliseum. GAC. GAC is the thing that asks the most time from me on average over the course of the week. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying that right now, GAC, I spend the most amount of time on offense playing GAC. And that doesn't even include defense than I do in any other game mode throughout the week. But I think that'd be the easiest way to fix it, because the alternative is scrap the thing, start new, and CG's not going to probably do.
So I'm gonna go with a different approach of it's not our job to figure out as a consumer, and I hate to do it this way. It's to call it out. I love GAC, but that doesn't mean everybody loves GAC. We need an overhaul of PvP because we have TW players who really love TW, and we got people who hate it. So it's a sprinkling of everywhere. Maybe like time limited events, right? We've talked about it. I personally enjoyed when TW had those offsets, right? So certain characters were really good for right now, right? Mace was a monster during times. I don't know if anybody can remember that or not, but maybe adding that to GAC. But I think as the consumer, it's not our job to figure it out. But what you can't keep doing is blasting a new character, and that new character becomes a thing, because that's really what Swiggle 2.0 is. Like, this new character makes this new team fun, and then we get to go down. They have a whole mechanics and everything else. We need an overhaul of everything. Maybe it's adding a third PvP mode, and that's what it's going to be, something else. But again, to what Dagger's saying is fair. To TW officers, that's another one of like, that's their favorite game mode. They play it for a reason because of the resources. So maybe we just put another one in that's going to even out the time and maybe lessen out what we're going to see in GAC.
Very fair. Other thoughts we have on this, on expanding or you're not necessarily expanding, but what would you want to see improved? Your thoughts in brief, Sasha, Fatal?
Yeah, I guess I'll talk just a couple wrinkles. These aren't seismic landscape changes, but one is I would be interested. This is again a matter of personal preference, to see a scoring system that does more to reward stops or just investing on creativity and defense. It just happens to be personally, I enjoy the formulation of like defensive strategy more than I do attacking. So I think that would be nice, but I understand that that's a matter of personal preference. The other thing that I'd add that I think would liven things up, and I realize it also could be a pitfall for the game, but some ability to, and it's not quite sandbox, but like a challenge, issue challenge, and play against friends and against other accounts. And maybe if you have your
Duel.
typical GAC cadence and you have everything there, but let's just say, you can also at some point in time, maybe there's a window or maybe it's at any point, you can quote unquote issue a challenge, and it's Grand Arena challenge. And I'll say, hey, Task, we haven't fought in a while. That's a really poor example because we fight weekly. But hey, Fatal, we haven't fought in a while. It would be a ton of fun to do a GAC mode or something like that. Maybe it's like GAC, maybe it's slightly different. But to be able to play against friends kind of like selectively at a time like it works for both, that would be awesome. And I think that would be something that like would liven up the game, at least for a period of time. There is a really good community here that's gotten like pretty tight knit. Like it has the benefits of a fairly long-standing community in that like most people have relationships and kind of familiarity with others, which curbs some of the worst behaviors in the game. People are generally pretty respectful, and so I'd love to be able to get more out of the interaction of the community that way too.
If CG is ever willing to give us friend challenging, that would also allow for tournaments.
Yeah, we could set our own tournaments up. I look at other games and like stuff that I've known for like.
That'd be great.
This is so sad, but like the game I play most has been around for 10 years. The game I play second most, I don't play many, would be Age of Empires 2. I really like it. And that's like a 20-something-year-old game. And there are really robust tournaments that people set up and like Extreme and stuff because, you can just play whoever you want, whenever you want, right? That would be a lot of fun. And it also would be a like tremendous resource for like content creation. I look at what you guys could do with it and it would just be awesome.
I do want to add one thing. I saw Wolfman comment. I want to comment. I don't play other games, but Fog of War, right? The ability and what Fatal said is true. That no matter when you go, you don't know what your opponent's going to get. So, like, the ability to just want to play the game first or second, it doesn't matter. You don't know what they're getting, would be a huge win. I've never played other games really like that. This one have been my only ones, but that would be amazing. That you don't have to feel penalized for going first, and you don't know what they're getting. Would be a lot of fun.
Very fair. All right. Appreciate that, guys. That's a good first question. Let's check the next one.
I can chime in. I have not spoken.
Oh, I thought I did hear you. My bad. Please. Go ahead.
Please, Fatal, go for it.
So I would be open to a one-time board expansion, but yeah, you can't just keep doing that. I would also I understand that GC takes up a lot of time, but in terms of things I want to be doing in the game, if there are tasks that should have time taken away from them to be added elsewhere, I would say strip down Conquest, strip down TB, although I'm in a guild that already does not require you to play a fuck ton of CM, so for me that doesn't change much, but I know for a lot of people it would. Yeah, a one-time board expansion might at least help things. For where I'm at with the game right now, for my view on the meta and what might be possible, I am going to continue to say defense Omicrons, I think, need to happen. You could say, well, what about offense Omicrons? Brother, they already exist. They've existed for a long time. Wampa is an offense Omicron. Bane is an offense Omicron, right? And to that end,
undersized teams on defense.
Yeah, I was about to say that too. Is if we want relatively possibly low impact changes, yeah, allow undersizing on defense. Start creating defense Omicrons. You cannot release powerful, because look, we know we can reasonably deduce that CG has released teams in the past that seem to be pretty clearly signaling, hey, this does some stuff on defense. This has bonuses that can only be claimed on defense. And what do people do? They pull that shit to offense anyway. You cannot trust these people. You have to force their hand. The time is well past. Start printing defense Omicrons.
So, let me just make sure I clarify this. And you're saying this, Phil. So in the Omicron, you're literally in the description saying while on defense.
Yes.
I understand what you're doing, but you're actually making them say it. If you try to keep this for offense, you can't use it because it's written in stone. Like that.
If you try to keep this for offense, you die immediately in real life.
Like it. Love it.
Yeah, I would you would just add it as a clause, if all allies are blank, or if no GLs are, you know what I mean? There are plenty. They've already done templating like this. They've already done exclusionary templating. I don't know why they couldn't do it that way. That being said, I think it'd be hilarious to fight against Seabane on defense.
I do. This thing is cool, but having Fatal having the words while on defense, you can't game the system would be. I'd be a huge fan of that.
I'm a big believer that they have long understood or deliberately designed the game to favor offense, and for very understandable and probably financially responsible reasons, right? They're trying to generally sort of optimize for engagement and user enjoyment, and the user experience is much more impactful when on offense than on defense. On defense, there's this degree of utility or joy we get of saying, hey, it held something. But if they put something out that is too defensively robust and just a huge pain in the ass, they get a ton of complaints because the way it is experienced predominantly is by people failing repeatedly against it. And I understand that longer term, particularly deeply invested players such as ourselves, appreciate that sort of added depth of the game. And so maybe they make it just very, very late game and they make it something to continue viability here. But I long believed they deliberately sub-optimize the AI on defense and the way it performs so that, us as the humans that interact in these matches have more positivity, right? Like we get, positive reinforcement. And I suspect, like I would. I hope you can speak this into existence, Fatal, because I would love to see more defensive viability. Is what I keep calling for as well. And I suspect they're just fundamentally wary of it because they kind of view the natural law for them needs to be make sure that people are winning the vast majority of time when they go in and they're using their characters. That's my gut.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the average player is probably a lot less happy in metas where defense is good.
Well, if you look at the game for 10 years, they've always said, and it's in literally their sales pitch, use. It's literally written into stone of what you use these favorite characters, put them together, right? That has always been the dynamic.
Your Honor, posting on defense is using. I mean, so to what both of you have just said, I agree that they have those problems, and I agree that a lot of people also just seem to want to play with the thing on offense more. I think it would be cool if CGA could cut Kyber 1 into 2 different spots and make like top 100 or top X 100 be its own entity. And if they could then also create some unique rules for rules being extremely loose because we've discussed all sorts of shit in the past, but like, yeah, just some way, because I recognize that the game we play is not the game that most people play. But that being said, we experience a lot of our own unique strains. It also probably wouldn't make sense to do development time for, only, people falling in and out of 100. So I'll say like, it would affect like maybe 500 to 1,000 players over the course of however long of a period of time. I just think, CG is focusing on a lot of different stages of the game, and at some point it would be cool for them to drop by the PvP hardcore endgame and be like, hey, what's up? What can we do? And like, a Beskar League, possibly with its own rules, would be pretty.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that in a while. Yeah, I forgot all about Beskar League. Would still love to see that.
Dude, that'd be. But it's like that'd be I would love the sell of that, right? Because again, I think that's selfishly where we live at. But it's like that would be. I mean, come on now. How many times have you looked at a team and yelled at it? Why did it do third instead of second? Why would you take this subpar optimal move versus the optimal? And it only lends to everything we've been talking about now.
All right. Well, we got to move to the next question. We're spending too long on one individual answer. By the way, guys, check our chat real quick. I put a question out.
Already thumbs up.
Let's get to the next question in the list here from Sotico. Kind of random, but what kind of Datacron would you want to cook up for a 501st lineup that combats Great Mothers? My guess would be attacker armor penetration. Like it's just absolute death is the recipe.
I wouldn't do 501st versus Great Mothers, so I wouldn't have a strong opinion.
Okay, yeah, I'm not wild about the matchup myself, but that wasn't the question as posed.
Yeah, that's my answer. I wouldn't do it.
I've never played the matchup. My understanding is like what Gas sits down every turn and then stands up every other turn, and I guess he just gets a bunch of counterattacks.
Yeah, he'll stand up in between when somebody else is doomed, I guess, and then do stuff.
Yeah, it's like I assume that it's like a counterattack heavy thing. So yeah, like attacker Kron with heavy crit damage, or
Right.
maybe something like that. I assume would play to the mechanics, but again, I have literally never even seen the matchup play out. So that's just
Yeah, I've never seen that
I
myself
think
either.
that's living in the world of where everybody's at, which is okay to ask the question because it's where you're at, right? Where you may need to use gas versus a mother setup. But I think that lends to the overall point of, are you in 3s versus 5s? Who's on the team of what you're trying to do? And I think it goes out to almost everything else you're going to try to apply it to. Because to me, that's attacker, because you're living in the world of gas does all of the work and it is ramping his stuff up. You're not going to have any really supports on the team. So obviously we're not looking at the support prong. Living in the kit of the gas, nobody gets to revive, so tank is out, because it'd be great if that's going to be. So it's like you're left with no healers, no supports to worry about. So you're going to want your attacker to do it, and there's debuffs being applied. But agreeing to what Dagger's saying, I think at our level, it's like that. I'm never going to do a gas versus Great Mothers, but just work on your mechanics of the team and what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, dear viewers on Twitch and YouTube, all of us have agreed here on the side that we've got the time to spare. So we're going to extend the Q&A so that, we actually have quite a few questions. So otherwise, we were going to have to, knock it off here just a few minutes. So thank you guys for being available. All right. Next question here from Caesar Beluga. Do you think the support cron with Reza and Cal, so Ray Ezra and Cal in 5s, will be more potent than the attacker cron? So I think, Fatal was speaking to that early in the show. Would you mind echoing that? And if anybody else has something to tack on, by all means.
I do, but Fatal can go first. This is Fatal's thing.
I don't know what I plan to do for my Ray. I suspect it might not actually be support or attacker, just because.
Yeah, healer Xeris.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it might even be some shit like Tankron, JTR, or something at this point. I'm not. But I mean,
I can see that.
JMK wouldn't care about that either. So basically, there are certain matchups that I think are spicy as hell right now, and you could sit there for an hour and be like, "Oh, what the hell are we doing here?" And then there's stuff like, I mean, LV we already kind of talked about earlier, and we did maybe think of like some outs, but like Ray is the one for me where it's like, at some point, if you respect your opponent as a human being who is in possession of a brain, I feel like just about every Ray setup that you could build isn't going to be that bad to deal with. So this really feels like sort of for Ray specifically, a choose your playstyle, choose your poison, choose a counter that you wish to fuck with, is I guess what I'm really trying to say here, right?
That's fair.
Do you want to go heavy bulk defense mods, support cron? Do you want to go crit damage stats, support cron to try to fuck with Leia? Or do you want to go TM crit damage with like a high crit chance Ben and like play for an aggro playstyle that way? The amount of customizability right now is actually fucking crazy, but I don't know if any of them really sound like a checkmate Exodia sort of thing for me to point to. Like, there are a lot of options.
Yeah,
they fixed it, and I think that's. Go ahead, Dagger. It's like, but it's like just the one point they fixed the ability to keep it, and you get to theory craft the what's going to be the team, because they brought attacker back. They yanked it back some. But go ahead, Dagger.
Oh, I was just say, like, I think you're open to a whole lot of options on what you do with your Ray, just like Fatal said. I think if you're trying to defend against the most things, you will not be placing Baby Cal on the team, and you'll be doing turn meter level 3.
Sorry. 25% self dispel chance plus attacker cron might be fucked up. That might be deeply fucked up in some.
Yeah. The problem there is that it'll probably get ran over by Seer. So basically, my initial thought was the turn meter makes Starkiller like very difficult. Not having Baby Cal there means you can't just use Malicos, target Baby Cal, rocks to kill everybody because of all the buffs. So you want to axe Baby Cal from the team. So with no Baby Cal in the TM level 3, I think that's a good starting point for most people. And then from there, it's healer, attacker, support cron, maybe even tank cron with like JTR and like L3, like Fatal said. There's a lot of customizable, whatever words are there. You can customize a lot. But yeah, I would start with
Okay.
turn meter level 3 and not using baby cow.
And I think it's going to be, and I think I talked to it the task. It's like you're playing to me, and the way I play my game, I'm playing the player. So what are they comfortable trying to do, and then make them uncomfortable? Because
Yep.
we've done this before, but I am personally okay that they throttle back the attacker cron. Personally, I don't care. There's other pieces to it, but this opens the door because now you have 5 characters. What are you trying to do? What is your person comfortable trying to do? And can I make you uncomfortable? That's a support cron. Ezra is his own world. And then a support cron with Ezra is again its own world. So it's I could try to do more attacker things, and I'm going to try to apply debuffs on you. Because you may not be comfortable with old school Star Killer. And if that's where it's at, it's like this is going to lock out a Seer, a Leia, or something else. And you're going to be in the world of trying to do old school Star Killer. What if you can't? What if I know you can't? And then I'm going to try to make that team. So it's not necessarily that Ezra goes there. What if Ezra is still stronger with the Ahsoka setup and the tank or the support there?
This might have to be a scouting set. Like as I'm
It,
sitting
it,
with
it
this.
really is. It really. This is what I mean, right? It's like I don't think, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody say they're so mad that they revisioned or set up and corrected the attacker cron. I think universally everybody's like, it's whatever. It's you bought it or whatever else that people have a problem with. I'm okay with making this fight about mechanics and do you do better? Did you build your setup or whatever else? And if I cannot play you because I thought of this one piece and you weren't ready for it, that's phenomenal.
Very good. Any other thoughts on that before we move on to the next one? I don't want to cut you guys off. All right. Next one up. Let's take a look. Yeah, another one from Sotico. Moving forward with the new Marquis/Coliseum system, how would they implement new ships? I don't see why they wouldn't.
Chase.
Yeah, exact Galactic Chase. That's why wouldn't they continue that?
Or conquest units.
Yeah, I don't
So
see
if
anything
we're
that's
talking-
changed. I don't see why anything to do with Coliseum changes how we would expect that to be released.
Yeah, I don't think they've covered it, but it's like I know we're gonna go to it, but the Coliseum setup and it's fundamentally flawed in its own setup. So I think that's another poisonous topic.
Mm.
I don't
It's a
think
pinata, it's fine. The only thing that's feel bad is the different shards you're in. Somebody could be like level 60 and in the top 10, and somebody could be level 75 and not in the top 10. I think that's the feel bad part of it.
I think
My
ships should stay in
person-
chases. I even want ships to stay at a
Yeah.
conquest because
Yeah.
Yeah.
the problem with conquest ship is conquest ship existing means no conquest character for 6 months, and that shit sucks ass.
Yeah, I think generally we've all look at the Banes of the world. Look at, I mean, even the Stranger right now, right? The look forward to of like your new present when you get to unwrap it and what it gets to do is amazing. And ships are a means to an end where you're playing the game for the ground characters. My problem statement when it came to the Colosseum when you're saying it is exactly what Dagger was upset about and others. Feels very JKR esque of what the trust us bro syndrome, and then they keep changing the dynamic. 7-star characters don't work it. That's what I mean. It's like every piece is an additional offset, and that's what I have a problem with.
I will become excited for new ships when they buy the rights to Star Wars Squadrons and battling in fleets involves booting up a dogfighting simulator. And then I will be excited for ships and no time before.
Please don't.
Give a shit
Why
logic
would you
data
even speak
ground.
these words into existence and make such a glorious and gorgeous fantasy that will never see the light of day?
Just give a ship mods or ship crons and then release like 20 ships. Call it a day.
Fair. All right, next question here. From Swugga Gameplay 9525. Early mod suggestions for the new marquees like the Luke, IG-90, Yoda, and Chewie. My generic answer to this, to any of these is usually I need to unlock the character and have it in hand, because then I start swapping in sets. I start seeing what kind of thresholds that I can hit. If I wanted to mod them for health, what happens when I slap on the set that I had in mind with the health primaries? What kind of number does that actually hit when I take them up to the relic level that I intend to use them at, which is generally 8 plus? I need that in my hands, because if I try on that health set and it's like, you know what, that doesn't really wow me. Let me swap into an offense set. What kind of numbers can I hit now? So I don't generally make commitments like this, and I really I can come up with like a skeleton of an idea. Like, for example, like the Stormtrooper Luke being having very impactful abilities will probably benefit greatly from being in a speed set. I think that's probably fairly safe to say.
But
But
my problem with the statement on the question is,
yeah.
but it's like, how do you be specific when it's team dynamics, turn order, wanting to hit this check mark of this one piece? There's a lot that goes into it. It's never just such a simple question of early mod, because there's so many pieces of who's the team with. Are you trying to change the dynamics of the fight? Do you want the turn order because you want this optimal lineup to move in this direction?
Well, in truth, though, I mean, very much this seems like intended as a 3 versus 3 team in the case of Stormtrooper Luke. So I think the composition is probably fairly fixed with the Stormtrooper Han and the Princess Leia.
Fast bulk with a CD triangle.
Fast bulk with a CD triangle. So when you say fast bulk, does that mean a speed set for you?
Either a speed set with bulk or fast health / defense mods with bulk. You do want him to be rather bulky. You do want him to have a CD set. Or CD triangle. You do want him to be fast. IG offense set. Yoda and Chewie bulk. Asajj offense. Barriss speed and health. Darth Vader offense. There you go.
There, solid.
Outside of that, it's going to really depend on the team.
How about the rest of you? Thoughts on those characters? Anything early? I mean, like I said, for me, it's generally too early. I need to fiddle with it.
Yeah. I have to figure out what the team is going to be used for before I figure out how to mod characters.
Yeah.
So I don't know what my wikis are going to be used for, so I don't know what I'm going to use, how I'm going to mod my Yoda and Chewie. That kind of thing.
You're about to say, Fatal?
Yoda and Chewie are going to be a mod locker. We can start with that. Stormtrooper Luke maybe goes into Leia, but also might be a mod blocker. So the biggest question with that is like, how addicted to Jyn Radis is Leia really? Because to be clear, I'm sorry to say, I don't mean to be the Debbie Downer. The Stormtrooper Luke New Hope team, if you are not a new player, is going to be ass. If you are in Kyber 1 and you play that team, I wish you the best of luck.
Fatal, stop telling people not to let me Wampa them.
I was gonna say, wait, dude, why do you even need to use your Wampa? I believe there's another character who can go solo that team.
Nest could
pretty consistently, right? It's like, you don't even need to use your Omicron. You can just go do old school.
I don't want them to post it on defense. I want them to use it on offense, where it is assuredly a probably very good team that will be very powerful and not consisting of 4 characters who existed at launch.
Look,
don't worry about it.
All I'm going to say is this. All of these characters, none of them are for me. And by that, I mean, my Afra is not going to be doing meaningful things even with IG-90, because IG-90 is the 4th character for the team, not the 5th. My Wookiees aren't getting used for anything. I don't think Yoda and Chewie is going to make them now get used for something. And if they
shut up. I love my Chota.
I'm talking about me. You can.
I know what you're talking about. Asajj, no, you're right. You're not wrong, but it's Yoda.
Asajj is like, that's cool. If Fennec and Dadbod Boba can get some kind of utility in GAC again, that'd be great. Barriss for 3v3, cool. Otherwise, Darth Vader looks really, 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 really powerful, but like his supporting cast is kind of butts.
But it's Vader.
I think it's all fair. The only thing that I'll add is just as like a passion project. Every time new Wookiee stuff comes out, I invest in it and I try and make it work. And spoiler alert, whoever has me week 1 with Yoda and Chewie, it'll be under Tarful.
You're never left sad. What are you talking about? You live on hope. So clearly it always works as expected. You're always getting the benefit of the doubt.
Thank you.
This
I
is
just
Sasha's
pray
fetch.
people let the Wookiees win, but that's
Yeah, this is Sasha's fetch. On Wednesday, he wears pink.
Very good.
I will say rapid fire.
Please.
Stormtrooper Luke, possibly Sleeper for Leia. Choda, if I'm not making a joke, if it's gonna matter anywhere, it will maybe be nice in theory if you're on offense with Tarful, but like anywhere else, get fucking luck. IG90, the Coliseum has maybe convinced me to reread his kit, and if I like what I reread in the kit, it may be interesting to try like Afra undersizes with him, perhaps, with the undersize kind of causing him to get hit more. Asajj Ventress, I think, is still the number one of the set, very likely. Probably will be the most powerful character. Barriss, I was also going to say is probably a shoo-in for a team, but I keep seeing people mention that she apparently prevents Reva from reviving. I don't know if that's true. If that's true, she's probably going to be a mob blocker. And then, yeah, DVD, I would have to reread, but I still firmly believe that, like, in most cases. The only thing I'm maybe sleeping on right now, like, EP Mora does not get off the ground fast, and this does not help them get off the ground any faster. The only thing I'm maybe sleeping on is, like, what, a Turbo Darth Vader maybe, like, slows down the match to, like, let everyone else get in, but that seems kind of optimistic.
Her unique. First line of her unique. Allies and enemies can't be revived. The next line has to talk. The next lines talk about ninth sister and second sister.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to be running that unless I'm certain that Reva's not going to die.
Yeah.
Mm. All right, let's see. What else do we got here? What do you guys want to see as the next Conquest character? That's an easy one to pitch down the hall.
KOTOR. Anything KOTOR.
KOTOR.
Mitra Surik, Atris, Kreia. Let's go.
Okay. Who's next?
Leia.
Which Leia?
Clea.
Oh,
Clay. Clay
Leia.
was up on my list.
Yeah.
Do we mean
Deidre Miro, somebody using deception or something like that. I don't know.
Yep.
Okay. Dig
Or
that.
Luthen's ship. Give us Luthen's ship. Last Conquest ship unit ever.
That's a
Luthen's
good
ship.
one. That's a good one.
Luthen's ship has to be coming eventually. I just hope it's a chase.
Me too, but like I wouldn't mind it being a Conquest unit.
It would make sense for it to be a Conquest unit, but fuck.
It's only to help build up Red 5 with Luke. Don't you ever say fucking Ray on that bullshit.
It's going to be called Luke's X-Wing with Ray as the
I knew you were going to say your bullshit. It's he's there to help make the Rebels great again. Old school setup. We've already got it's
Fair.
I will say if it's B2 emo, they should do it as the first not only non-combat, but non-playable character. He's so precious. They shouldn't allow him into combat at all. And I would still wail on him, but yeah.
Yeah.
Just can't hurt him.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. I mean, for my part, my next thought on a Conquest character. Specifically a Conquest character. So what I'm really needing to do is think about where it fits in the terms of the power of the unit. Because, I mean, another ship? Is there a ship that I really want to see? Yeah. Give me my trench. Give me my trench fleet. Start giving me. You don't have. Give me the capital. I don't know if that's the Conquest thing, but start giving me ships for a trench fleet. Flesh out the Separatists. It's not all buzz droids, damn it. So.
They also have 2 or 3 more like crewless ships they could bring into the game to give malevolence. If they brought in Trench, they have like 2 to 3 more. I think even somebody can correct me, but it's between 2, depending on how liberal you want to be, they have 2 to 4 more crewless ships that they could put on the malevolence fleet as droids. I honestly thought that Asajj was going to be a Conquest unit, so seeing her as a marquee makes me a little, I don't want to say sad, but it's cool. We got Bounty Hunter Asajj.
Okay.
The hype on the sandbox for she has been performing quite well there. I mean, as always, take that shit with a grain of salt. Blah blah blah. But yeah, I mean, we kind of said this from the start, right? Even just reading the kit, she appears to have the most sauce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember your
Well, she
stream
also
on
has the
that.
most existing, like, she has a triple Omi character existing as a character she interacts with. So, like, her ceiling is higher just because Fennec has been really good in GAC historically, DVB's been good in TW historically, right? So she's already going to slot onto a team that has had a lot of success in both game mode.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's check this next question here. Another one from Stelios. How many full stat datacrons do we need? Like every stat on health, protection, crit damage? So I think all of us are going to, I mean, I'll speak my piece on it real quick. I think all of us are going to be tempted to go for extreme, suited into one stat on these crons. And that's how I initially was doing it. I can't share details about what my guild asked, but there was some guild guidance that came out that had me change up a lot of these crons. And something that, I don't think this is leaking anything untoward because you can just see this looking plainly at my crons now. A lot of them are two suited now. There will be a major stat that has all but 2 of the stat rolls, and then those last 2 stat rolls will be dedicated to something else. Like 2 rolls for armor penetration to get up around 100, or they could be the latter 2 stat rolls for armor penetration to be closer up to 200, and then filling in the rest with crit damage, for example. Or like a QA team having the majority of the stats being crit damage, and then 1 or 2 of the rolls being health, giving you somewhere around the neighborhood of 40% health to go alongside. Is that necessarily going to have a huge performance difference over crit damage? I can't say for sure on a matchup, but the idea would be is that, think about it like this. If I can have like 100% crit chance and then 20-30% health besides, do you think that maybe instead of having that, you think having 120%, 140% crit damage is so much better? I don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's partially because of Guild Ass, but I had some discretion with some of the crowns from this set to set them up the way that I liked, and a couple of those are all one way. Like, for example, the crown that I would be using... well, no, I actually did just change this today, talking with TJ. My crown for Marin was going to be all tenacity. And then when I looked at it on balance, I mean, like my Marin already is very strong on tenacity. So that's generally not her weakness, but she's something like, almost 270% just as a starting point. So I do have some tenacity rolls there. If I can find the cron. Isn't it one of these?
I mean, there is a really short answer to this.
Yeah, you can give a shorter answer. That's fine.
The best crons are going to have 2 really good stats that make them incredibly flexible. And if you don't, unless you want to build a cron for a very specific team / matchup, but you generally want 2 stats to make your crons more flexible. If you only have 1 stat, you lose a lot of flexibility. That being said, if you want 1 or 2 full crit damage crons on attacker level 6s, that's probably fine.
Fair. How about the rest of you guys? What's your philosophy towards approaching stats on these crons in the land where when rerolls are infinite?
Right now, all of my datacrons are single stat, with the exception of 1 datacron, which has a crit chance roll on otherwise crit damage. I don't know. I might be coming around to it because, like, in the last week, like, my usual favorite preferred type of cron is like bulk level 3 with a lot of crit damage and like enough tasteful bulk stat splash to pair nicely with the level 3. That, like, I could see myself going for some of those, but right now I am everything or nothing.
That was my thought, though. It's fatal, though. What you said second was, bulk level 3 with like a health roll or 2, and then a bunch of crit damage kind of stuff.
Yeah, I could see myself there, but right now I do not.
I can see that. Sasha, TJ, anything to add on to us there? Or did we already capture your thoughts more or less?
I think most of it. I do like getting a little bit of most of my thoughts were captured. I do generally prefer having a little bit of a mix in there, but it depends on, there's some particular uses where survivability is not paramount, but even there, I mean, depending on who the attackers are, I may want a one of the level 7 or level 8 rolls to be the like a 99% armor pen kind of thing. If I have a high base armor pen physical attacker, because without defense in the game, there's actually uh, some like meaningful benefits there. But like, yeah, that's kind of. I like getting a little bit of thickness mixed in at certain points too, if I can.
Yeah, the best two stats in this set are
Uh,
crit damage and health.
so mine is just going to be based on the team setup. I think a two stacker is pretty safe way to go, unless you're really building into something that if it like because then we're going into discussions of mechanics of like why do you need armor pen for a special damage team or other things like that. But having
Mhm.
it being able to flex in multiple places feels like the right answer.
No, thank you for saying that.
So
Let
two
me
statting seems
intercede
like
on
the
you.
safest.
Just to put out this PSA. I mean, I know a lot of folks know this. Please be aware that a lot of folks think, wow, armor penetration is coming at me in huge amounts on this cron. I'll be able to make really effective use of this on any physical damage dealer. That's not the case for most. I think a lot of people,
That's
myself included, have generally been under the delusion that for a physical damage dealer, you
right.
probably can't do better than armor penetration, whereas you actually need to
Negative.
check the armor penetration rating on individual characters. For example, somebody like Lord Vader has a base armor penetration of 547. You get, 400% armor penetration on here, you're up over 2,000. You're really cooking with gas, yeah? As opposed to, take a look at Jedi Cow, who is a physical attacker but has probably the single worst armor penetration rating in the game. 400% armor penetration of a base of 13 is garbage. So, for this character, and in fact, for most physical damage attackers, you are much safer stacking crit damage over armor penetration. You should very thoughtfully consider the crons that you want to put on teams. Like if you're thinking, oh man, should I go for that armor penetration or crit damage? You gotta look at the characters involved. Look at their base armor penetration, and if it isn't impressive, crit damage is the answer. So, sorry, continue on,
I
TJ.
just want to go back to my point. No,
Also
no, and
mixed
I
it.
just want to make sure I get it out. Let me get it out, Dagger, real quick, please. There's nothing wrong with the answer, but that's exactly what it is. So that's why I'm looking at it. I think survivability, what Sasha's saying, is a good piece, but you want to stack it because you can also stack mods for your team. So I think what you're also going to see here is a lot of rebuilding towards making sure it's like if you want to make sure you get crit damage, you're going to want to make sure you're over 100% crit chance or whatever else it is. I don't want to use the cron for that when I can stack up like 200, 300% crit damage or whatever. I just wanted to make sure I commented that because it's like I saw the discussion on the JKC and that I'm going to put armor pen on my JML team. It's like, well, what is your team trying to do, and what are you trying to accomplish? Just like let me waste this where you could stack protection just to make sure that the coin does more work for you or something else.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
I was
Dave.
also
Sorry.
going to say also armor pen's not particularly great right now because some of the better teams you want attacker crons on have mixed attackers like Padawan Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon.
Yes.
Right, one's special, one's physical. So putting armor pen on there is only good for one of them, whereas crit damage is good for both of them. That's all I was going to add, TJ. Was I was going to add that
No,
there's
we're
also
good.
teams that, you know,
Nothing that has been spoken do I factually disagree with, other than a little bit of the opinion that armor pen is always the wrong call. It really isn't if you do the math. It often is the wrong call, but there are certain circumstances
Right.
where your damage dealers have a high base armor pen and are physical
Right.
damage dealers. And then
Right.
it depends. There's a sweet spot. If you look at the curve of efficacy between crit damage and armor pen, even if you're assuming 100% crit chance, it surprisingly armor pen will disappear as the right call at a super high degree of defense, which we're not in right now. Or if you get to excessive armor pen, because it does you no good to take effective defense below 0%. So like ironically, Task calling out Lord Vader, which is a great example. If you go 400% on Lord Vader, you're taking it off like 2,000 flat defense plus like reduced from that target. Most targets don't have quite that amount of defense, and so you're wasting some of those stats. It's not like you hit above 100% because you've taken defense into the negative. But I would just say for like Bane, For Malicos, depending on who, if there's another, Star Killer a bit, JK. There are a few that have
But
like really high base AP. So
Yeah,
like, I don't know, SLKR, but that's what I mean by
SLKR is a good
per
one.
team. But that's the idea, right? And while we're talking about it, because you're living in the hypothetical world of what are the team, what are the dynamics, and who's on the team, and what's the team trying to accomplish. And are we
Mhm.
living in a world of 5 or 3? So it's like all of those pieces where you're saying survivability. I think dual statting is great. If I'm looking at, I'm building this for SLKR. If I'm building, that's why the millions of rerolls is great, but a singular stat is tough ask depending on what you're trying to accomplish.
very good. Let me get back up into the question list here. Okay. Yeah, Darth Ataru says, Tass, thanks for all the mod videos. Helped me greatly. Please keep doing them. Maybe one for Lord Vader and clones next. Yes, that is actually coming soon. That very video, believe it or not. But for my question, does 501st Echo's Unique do damage to Ezra or Pirate King Hondo when they evade? I would imagine that the answer is yes. I just can't...
Isn't it based on percent health? So like,
Yeah, so Hondo will take like 2 damage from it or whatever because he takes the reduced percentage.
Yeah.
But yes, it does do the 20% health.
Yeah, Clone Trooper and 501st allies have plus 20% crit chance when an enemy evades an attack from a Clone Trooper or 501st ally. Echo deals damage to them equal to 20% of their max health, which can't be evaded. So the answer is yes, I would imagine. The question is, this is neat to exploit. Can the 501st deal with the onslaught of the rest of that team, though? I have my doubts, friend. Anything else you guys want to throw in on that one? Please.
He's a non-GL GL. Ezra's okay with what you're trying to do to him. Have at it.
Yeah. All right. Next one here. Dust Cannon asks, would y'all say that Relic 10 Darth Revan is a priority? And I would say that for the majority of us, the answer should be no. I think that it's one of my first Relic 10s because at the top of the game, you can be assured that many of my opponents would take this because essentially, prior to Relic 10, when everybody was having Relic 9 Darth Revan, it was... If you set your Leviathan, then you know that your opponent's going to get between like a 71 and a 74. If you have Relic 10 Darth Revan on defense and they have Relic 9, it is not going to be higher than like the 71 outcome. They are for sure going to lose a ship. They're not going to be able to keep everybody. So there's some cost involved. So it's kind of it's an arms race relic in the sense that once everybody has it, it's like nobody has it. And I would only encourage it for you if you are A, in Grand Arena, fighting people that are frequently having it themselves, or B, your guild has a plan to en masse set, 50 Relic 10 Leviathans on defense and strip a large number of banners off of your opposing guild. I'm
going to give you a C. I'm only going to say you're right. It's subjective to where you're at in the game and what you're playing. And the other C is how you value your time and your ship shard. So that's it. There's no 10 that I feel like is a air quotes priority right now, depending on where you're at in the game. If you have a game in your ship shard where you don't have to do shit and you can live in 2 all day and then go to move to 1, that's your ROI, because crystals are still like the number one thing for people who play the game for like that investment. So that can be something else. If you're top in the Kyber, then that also can be a factor because that could win you a match in GAC. So it's a subjective point. But other than that, there's no Relic 10 that I feel is literally like the number one thing that you have to have. There's just no other asset gain right now.
Yeah, if my guild didn't ask for it, I would not have a R10 Darth Revan.
Mm-hmm. Sasha, Fatal, thoughts?
I like it's the first time I've been like reliably climbing in Fleet Arena because I can put in just Scimitar as a reinforcement and hit auto and beat anything that's not R10. So that's been valuable to me. But
Yep.
So I'm not familiar. So like if the defending Leviathan posts Scimitar first reinforcement and they win the coin flip at double R10, does that shit matter?
At double R10,
It just makes
sorry, go ahead.
no. And I'll tell you this because this has been me living in the world. That was my first R10. I did it for Arena. So all you have to do, because the AI will always, this is 100% of the time, even if they win, they're gonna blow up both your reactors, so your
specials.
engine,
Yeah,
and then
they'll
they're gonna
use both.
blow up the hangar. They will never do ship first. So with that setup, you get to call your Scimitar before they go, even if you lose all of the battles. So I just want to call that out for everybody else that even on a mirror and you lose it,
But to be
you
clear,
still have the
that's
disparity
why
to
you
go
only
blow up
lose.
engine.
To be clear, that's why you only lose one ship. That's your decision to call in the reinforcement, even if you lose it, is why you only lose one ship, but you will still win the match. Yeah, like you basically when
But it's just
everything's
the race.
leveled out.
The point is just the race. That's all it's
If-
getting at is like you still have disparity to call in the Scimitar before they do, because if they won, they're not going to do it.
If you are a hyper sweaty player who feels confident in your ability to do damage elsewhere, I would not apply that.
Fair. Very fair. Yeah, it's not super urgent. It's really for the circumstances described here. Thank you, guys. Good one. All right, next, let's see what else we got. Rolling on down. Looks like we're catching up a bit. And, short questions I've been trying to answer in the chat, so spare some of that. Rolling on down. Oh, yeah, just a lot of discussion here. Wow. I'll be damned. Looks like we're catching up, guys. Any last questions here in the chat? We'll look to close this one down then. And thanks again to my co-host for making the time for the extended Q&A. But we'll give you guys another minute here to say anything else, and then yeah, guys. Anything you just want to share with the community here before we close up Q&A? Anything that you think somebody could have asked as a question that you want to put on out there?
If
to
you were,
inform people.
if you were so inclined going into 5e5 to sink in R10, I will point you towards Darth Bane. He is a character who is designed to fight things undermanned, so even the 5% relic delta goes a long way on him. And then you pair that with like the marginal gains to health, accuracy, and damage. There's nothing wrong with that, or nothing bad about that. But I would just, if you were looking to sink one, that would make a huge impact. I think he will make one of the larger impacts because I think he has some stuff he can beat in 5s now with Relic Delta that he maybe struggled against before.
No, I think it's fair.
Having
one
R10
other thing I'd add is
Sorry.
you could, if you have an R10 Darth Revan and he's otherwise going unused, Bane is certainly a Sith that takes advantage of additional relic levels of his sacrificial Sith lamb. So
Also true.
maybe that's a combo.
Yeah.
That actually
So-
was. There was data supporting that actually in 3s. People were taking their Darth Revan as a second, and that was actually punching up a lot.
Yeah, I just think that Darth Bane has like always been on the fringes in some matchups. Especially versus things like Lord Vader, and I think having him R10 just for that marginal damage reduction is going to be important.
I will
Right.
shout out tanks.
Mhm.
I have started 2 R10 tanks. I did Wrecker first, and now have done Morgan. Yep, they feel a
I
little better
like
than I
Morgan
expected.
a lot. That's a good one.
That shit feels real good. Looking forward to do more of them.
I believe in that shit. I do. That's a good
I
one.
don't think it's my next R10, but since we're on the topic of characters we're at least looking at, I'm always in life like value oriented, and there's something about buy one get one free that always appeals to me. And Appo is an interesting one. And I'm
Sure.
not saying like, but it's just you get him, you get the summons, and if you can get LV to that first alt, LV is drawing a little bit more a little bit of additional mastery on that alt. So it's
And the leadership, that 1% stacking for him and his allies is going to tick that much harder on his allies that are, in fact, Relic 10.
Oh, we have a really fun question.
We'll get to him in a minute. I was letting you guys complete your thought. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my apologies. I thought we
You're
all.
good. You're good.
My bad. My bad. My bad.
You're good.
God
Well, only
damn.
one of us is the host, you son of a bitch.
Fuck
All right.
you.
All right. Next question here from Flareboot. When do you think you will get to do a Relic 10 for funsies rather than a guild/compliant meta chasing? So here's I'll speak just for myself on this one. My guild has asked. They had something like 4 characters when Relic 10 came out that they had in a list that they'd like to see us do. They didn't say, if I see any of you sons of bitches put on anything but these, you're going to be kicked. The personal pattern that I have generally adopted is I'll do 1 for the guild and 2 for me. And I've never gotten any shit about it. So, and also, it kind of so happens that a couple of their choices dovetailed into what I wanted for Grand Arena anyway. For example, Ray was one of the asks, and Ray I wanted to do anyway. Her having that push up in all of her stats, not to mention the benefit to Sudden Whirlwind and to Galactic Legend from the added Relic level. It allowed me to push some mods around and hit some really impressive thresholds. I think I'm really happy with the way she turned out. I guess just briefly answering the point of the question, nobody's telling me what to do, and as long as I'm sticking to my pattern of 2 for me, 1 to them, it's no issue, no problem at all. So like my first one that was strictly funsies was Ben Solo, and no regrets because again, just love the numbers I was able to hit. We've got decent health, strong speed, crit damage triangle. I traded away some potency, about 20% potency. In exchange, we are 19,555 offense at 75% special crit chance base. And remember, like immediately at battle start, he's gaining 40% mastery from Ray. His mastery increases crit chance and damage. So delighted. But how about you guys? What are your thoughts? How are your guilds managing you and your decisions around Relic 10? And if you had a funsy Relic 10 that you have gotten to do or is immediately on your horizon, who is that?
Well, my guild asked for 2, and generally when they ask, it's not really a question. So I did those 2, and everyone I've done after those 2 has been for me.
That's a fine approach.
Yeah, I live in a 1-to-1 world is where I try to do it. And as somebody who's not willing to buy a pack or do something like that, I don't think there's anything wrong with keeping it a 50-50 split. I think your 1 to 2 is just fine, Tass, but I think also at the tip of the spear, there's no booting. Nobody's kicking anybody, but we can just knock that shit out because there's not many of us left in the world who live the sweaty that we do. But it's like, I don't see why you can't do a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-2. I think you should be able to do it. I love the Darth Bane. That's definitely, if you're doing a Bane, that's definitely, you're doing it because you want to play GAC or something else. Because if anybody who knows, Bane is just shit in TW. Another fun one.
Shit, no
I
one
would
ever
love to do. I would love to do like the Malicos to see what it's going to do.
Ooh,
Malicos is
fine
on my
choice.
list of top. But these right. It's like to what. Just thinking about what Fatal said. Morgan would be awesome, right? Because it's like you can't kill them. Seeing what like Spirit would be a fun R10. It's just there's a lot of key characters I would love to do, just because the team would just benefit so highly from it. Malicos is. Personally, for me, I love Malicos. He's so much fun to use. And I saw a question on it. The Stranger. Stranger is going to be so much fun. I know Dagger's original point was the next key conquest unit, and then the Stranger came out, and the Stranger feels like if you're not insta R10ing him, just playing against them in Conquest alone,
Probably won't even R9.
the Stranger's going to be bonkers.
Well, tell me
Stranger's
that.
gonna be
Tell me that
nuts.
because I was talking about this
Yeah,
with
probably
Dagger
won't
the other
even.
day, and I felt like I wonder if I should be banking one for him. And looking him over, I mean, he's definitely going to be Relic 9 for me day one. But
He is gonna
what's
get
your affirmative case for the value for Relic 10?
He's going to get insta-killed immediately. Like, why would you even bother? He doesn't transfer those stats to his teammates.
Well, let him answer
He
for
loves
himself.
the Relic Amplifier and everything else. So, but it's like I feel like the team, like the dynamic of the team, what it's going to do, I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. So the Stranger to me feels like a great application of dooming a team just for get us to do. So I don't know yet. We'll see more. Obviously, we're going to have him in 2 weeks. Also, we still don't even know Maul's kit. So maybe Maul's kit ties in, and then that's the true one you want to R10. I don't know yet.
Fair. Okay. Sasha, did we get yours?
No, but I'm in the same guild as Dagger and Fatal, and yeah, they've asked for some. I've done those. They're always great about it. Like, and I none of them have felt wasted. And honestly, I really respect what the guild does for us. So I make sure I comply. But then the sort of more fun and indulgent ones, I haven't quite gotten there yet, but I'm thinking my next one might be Bane. And then I'm very drawn to the tanks just because of the stat value, and I haven't settled on which tank I feel sort of the greatest dependence on, and it may just sort of come down to like when I feel like I have an available R10, which is probably going to be another couple weeks, see what the meta looks like. But that's where
OG Mace is the tank I'll probably do first.
he was very high on my list, and I have felt like I've had him tenacity modded quite a bit or for a while, and that can limit his survivability just a bit, and I figured R10 would be a nice thing there. He is a really good character, Dagger.
And I use him everywhere in DAC and TW.
Yeah, he's great in TW. That's a great point.
Very good. All right, next question, and we'll probably make this one of the last ones, guys. I see there's still some more, but I don't want to keep these guys forever, and we still have to do our closing comments and all that. So let's see. Next one here from Darth Ataru. What do you think is the realistic top relic level to end at for next year in 2026, then 2027, then 2028? Please don't go triple digits. I mean, I don't think it's outrageous to expect one new relic level added per year. I would not expect more than one per year. Gentlemen?
They stated they would like to have vertical progression happen about as frequently as linear progression, which means I expect to see a relic level about as frequently as we see a new raid. So every
I was going to go off GL, so that feels pretty similar.
Yeah, I expect about one every 9 months. So by the end of 2026, R11, maybe the announcement of R12. By 2027, probably at least the announcement of Relic 14.
I just, to me, it makes sense of, I mean, because, and it's like building up your baseline as Relic Delta 2 feels like pretty consistent, but it does feel like here is your GL, here is your raid, here is your Relic level is an easy sale, in my opinion, unless they really change the dynamic structure.
So I don't disagree with you guys in terms of both what they've stated and probably what their actual intent is right now. But when it comes to like an over under bet on executing to planned timelines, a lot of money's made on the over with these guys, and I respect CG a lot. And I honestly, I don't mean that as harsh, but it's just I think the reality is they probably do expect a 9-month time frame, and I could see them executing to a 12 to 15-month time frame per relic level. That's kind of maybe they go faster than that. And the one thing that makes me think they may go faster than that is how marginal the stat increases are on many of these Relic 9 to Relic 10 leaps. So that does kind of mean that you can do more and not have it get out of hand and break the game. But
that's That's kind of what I was
will
going with.
say
It's
that
just
I
the
think
Delta
this
piece of what you're
monetization
saying,
is going to
Sasha.
come-
So quick honorable mention here. Flare Boot in the chat mentioned, we were looking for an actual affirmative reason to consider Relic 10 for Stranger, and he rightly points out this basic. Let's review that, guys. Deal physical damage to target enemy and dispel all debuffs on the Stranger. During his turn, gain 50 speed the first time this ability is used, and 1 speed plus 1 per Relic amplifier level, maximum of 10, each subsequent use, stacking max of 50 triggers for the rest of battle, and alert for 1 turn which can't be copied. And I think Flare Boot also did some napkin math for us in the chat. He says that this would add up to a total of 600 speed at Relic 10 and 500 speed at Relic 8. So yeah, there's some delta there. How much that matters in an individual fight, we'll have to see. But certainly I don't feel bad about at least taking him to Relic 9 and seeing how it is.
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm leaving 50 speed on the table at most, which
Well-
is a lot, but I don't know.
No, so it'd be 10 speed. But like my initial thought when I was pointing out the Flare Boot is this team is going to have so much damage, it's only going to have like 2 to 3 turns. And if you put him on defense, he's going to get insta-killed back almost immediately by Maz. So have fun with using your basic once. That's all I'm saying is like this team is going to end fights super fast. So in order to kill them, and one of the things I think is going to hard counter him day one is Maz. So it's like he's going to insta kill, they're going to revive with Savior. He's going to get death marked for the rest of the fight and get insta killed the moment he's touched. So he might not even basic once per fight.
Yeah, because it
I'm not
has to
saying
be
you
on his own
shouldn't run
turn.
it
So
well.
that's a very fair point. That's going to come after Special 1 and Special 2. So this is just, now that you mention that does kind of feel to me, and I wonder what Flare Boot in the chat thinks. And when you have Balin's third ramps speed for the whole team. Each time it's used with like a maximum, it's like 10 per time with a maximum of 50, something like that. In the real case, you use that ability not more than like 2 times in a fight that matters. If you use it a third, congratulations, you were using it to land a killing blow on the last remaining character after you've otherwise won the fight. So there might be something to that. I think that's fair.
That was my only thought, was not that he's not a bad choice, just I don't plan to R10 him day one.
I think he's definitely auto 9.
Yeah,
but mine is, that's why I call him a BHAG goal of like a 10, a possibility of a 10. But we don't know the kid of Maul.
Right.
I know they intended it's going to be Star Killer, Maul, and the Stranger is, I'm pretty sure, like the baseline understanding. And without seeing what that's going to do, like insta kills can't happen. You can't be death marked. Blah 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 blah. And how all they're going to come out. I just think his kit looks fun, and playing against him in Conquest, he seems like I'm going to destroy you type of team, and it may change the all dynamic of Swigo.
Fair. Any other comments?
Either way you slice it, I don't see him using his basic more than twice a fight.
Yeah, he won't be getting a lot of that because it's only going to proc that speed gain on his own turn. So yeah.
And if you assume that this team has Star Killer on it, like the fight's going to be over extra quick.
All right, guys. I believe that takes us to the end of the list here. So appreciate you all in the chat for submitting some great questions. Sorry, what?
Where was it? There was a question I really liked.
What was
where was it? Scrolling up.
Did I miss a good one?
Damn it. I read it immediately, and I was going to read it, and then you just ignored it and read a different one. Where was it? Shit.
I believe in you.
Was it in a different chat, Dagger?
It was either on Twitch or it was on YouTube. So I'm reading the YouTube ones first.
Okay.
I don't remember. It's whatever. I read a fun one, but I don't remember. We didn't get to it. It's fine.
Yeah. Was it the adopt a level 9 Datacron into an Omicron?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that one.
All right. So so Tico's question will be our last one then. So if you could adopt one level 9 Datacron ability into an Omicron, which would it be? I'd love to see Darth Sidious become permanent, but I know that would change a lot of defenses. Yeah, because you're essentially adding another Wampa into the game. In that sense. Interesting question.
How about
I'll let you guys
give
answer
my
first.
answer?
I'll take the easy way out and piggyback on you guys. You go first.
All right, can I jump in, because I'll tell you my response is just a twist on that and drawing on something else we already covered in the show.
Mhm.
Is that but I think it's thematically like appropriate. It is Darth Sidious, but it's got to be him on defense. And it's the whole concept. Like, again, you've got like Palpatine there, and you come in, and I know it's an earlier version, but you come in and you're confronting him, and it's just him. And so you bring, good luck bringing 5 Jedi or whatever.
I could dig it. All right. That's
I
that's a fun one.
have two favorites, and I would love to see it as on defense. The million turn JKL. Let that dude with his lead.
Oh, fuck you for
A
that.
million turn JKL. But I like Fatal, right? I want to stick to Fatal's thing. Put that shit on defense, and if you hit him or don't hit him, he takes a million turns on you and then stuns your team. That would be awesome, because figure that shit out on defense. The other one that I loved that also feels thematic, and I'll take for defense, the million turn setup of Darth Vader. So it was set for during the dodge. I used to love we did it on stream, and it was so much fun of taking that against JK, setting it up for JMK, and you will single-handedly go kill a JMK team with your lone Darth Vader. That also felt great. It's like those two off the rip, man. But I would love to see Fatal's point of on defense.
Careful what we wish for here, because enhancing characters into being like single characters becoming counters for whole teams pushes us back towards efficiency.
I know.
So
that's why I only put it on the on defense thing. I don't want to give it to an on offense thing. We've had that plenty of times, but like a million turn JKL and he stuns your team out, and it's like figuring that out would be awesome. But again, I love the idea of only on defense setup.
Sure, I appreciate it. How about the rest of you guys?
I have 2 as well. The first one is the Chirrut Kron from like a year ago. Remember that one?
Remind us kindly.
I don't remember all the text on it, but he and Baze both gain 5% turn meter every time they gain a hot.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it was basically you put Chase with Saw, and that deletes the team. Chirrut was like a Superman.
Yeah, but it was broken. It wasn't once per turn, and once they fixed it, it was less busted. Yeah. But and the other one I want to see is the I'm forgetting who it was on. It was on one of the Imperial Troopers, but it gave the Imperial Troopers grit. Maybe it was a level 6.
It was a level 6 that would have been for Imperial
that was
Troopers.
the level 6.
Yeah, I would like to see a level 9 that has something along those lines to preload Imperial Troopers.
I see your meaning. Okay.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I thought there was a level 9 that preloaded troopers. I could be wrong though, but I thought there.
When I think of characters that are only occasionally in the meta, and I think get a bad rap because they're underpowered relatively, Stap was supposed to bring General Grievous into the modern era, and it did so only briefly with an accompanying Datacron. So would love to see General Grievous have more time in the sun. That's one for me, maybe. Like a stat ability to push him up, because it feels like half an Omicron's gone from him without that cron.
Yeah.
Did we not capture anybody? Fatal, did we get yours?
No, I was trying to come up with an answer.
just winging it.
I will say I actually think I would want it to be the Rey ult damage one. I don't think she's... Yeah, maybe with a slightly lower number. It doesn't have to be 75% per hour.
He's talking about set 1. He's talking about OG.
Hold on. Which ability specifically are you referring to, Fatal?
I am talking about the only good Datacron for Rey that has ever existed, which is set 1.
Yeah, he's talking about OG, the Super Rey.
Where the ult does like 50% more damage or whatever it is.
It's 75% more damage per ally. That's like perhaps cartoonishly high, so maybe make it say 50%.
Never again.
And that's mostly because her ult doesn't do much damage these days.
That just sucks. It would be cool if that did not suck.
The reason why we think it was overpowered is because you were ulting with your Ray into teams that didn't have a Datacron.
Did Starkiller exist at the time that Datacron existed?
Not in a
couldn't-
meaningful way.
He couldn't do anything to it. It didn't matter because the stats that were on the cron with the tie-in of the everything else, you couldn't. You had to take a GL to it. Nothing else was going to suffice.
Because what people don't remember is that first set, even the whales had 8 total Datacrons.
Can we say
just
that
didn't have
percentage
raw
value?
numbers of crons. So your Star Killer was without a cron trying to fight this.
Yeah.
So I think with crons and all this kind of stuff, and now with the relics, her ult is like every time she goes into ult, I'm like, oh good, she didn't whirlwind.
Can I negotiate?
It's-
Can I negotiate to that number going from 75% per ally to not higher than 10? So 50% more in 5 vs 5?
That would be dog shit.
That would be dog shit. What's
Yeah,
the
it would
lowest
be
that you
25
think would?
per ally,
What's the
but
lowest you
it would
think that
need to
would
be
still be
25%.
meaningful? Really?
If it's lower than 50% per ally, it's dog shit. Because you have to remember, Star Killer, double bulk, half
Yeah.
ray damage, offense down. The motherfucker has you deal 25% damage, so 400%.
Double bulk.
Well,
Star
and
Killer
the fact
increases
that,
the health and protection of his allies by 100%.
That's what
right,
I'm saying. You have
and
double bulk, and you're only taking 25% damage.
and if you debuff the character, it drops it off to be pussy numbers.
that's
There's
the
just
fatal
no
stat.
other thing about it.
That's what I'm saying. Like at some
Yeah.
at what point is Ray doing 400% ult? That's just basically just 100% damage at this point for Star
Yeah,
Killer.
she's just trying. It's basically just a 1-to-1. You're basically just trying to take away the debuff clause and keep
Team
that
Up Leia
legit.
can tank it already because like she ulted my Leia in 5s, or sorry, she ulted my Leia in 3s, which is where it's like, oh man, in 3s her ult's scary, and then she ults my team in 3s, and my Drogon loses like 80% of his protection.
That's the part that's really fucked up. Is like 3v3 Ray used to be like Thanos.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I still had the residual, like, oh shit, I'm getting ulted in 3v3. I'm gonna die. Fucking still full health. Like, oh.
Yeah, the PTSD is still there, and then Drogon's like, hey, I get 50% max health and more protection up, and I get protection up that now scales off of that, and Leia's like, I'm gonna whirlwind you, and he's like, that's cool, I still have a full health bar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let alone an ult.
Sounds
I got
good.
my Drogon whirlwinded yesterday, and it didn't even take off all his protection.
Yeah. No, I can see that. All right. 50%, I guess I could accept. I have concerns, but I see your math. Your math is good. So fair.
Yeah.
All right, I think that takes us to the end of the Q&A. Again, thank you to everybody in the chat. Always a pleasure to do this, and thank you again to my co-host for the extended availability. Guys, let's take it back around to takeaways and final thoughts. Now, we did our season in review, discussion earlier, so we don't have to retread that in full. More like just, your wrap-up statement, your, what your aspirational thoughts for what we're looking at the next 3 vs 3, your dooming for what you expect in the next 3 vs 3, any and all of the above. Let's have Dagger step into the spotlight.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I could go later today is that they're wrapping my presents in the other room, and I'm not allowed out. So I am trapped in my office until further notice. So this was fun. I'm glad this went a little long. Glad we can answer a bunch of questions. These live shows are always fun. You get to see a little bit more of us being unscripted. Not saying that we aren't unscripted normally, but you get extended time of us yelling over each other. Well, mostly me yelling over TJ, like a dickhead. And man, for next 3v3, I am excited to see what the next set is because I want to see if there's any dent it's going to make in this current set. Right? Like, that's my biggest thing, is I want there to be something in the new set that is, like, makes me, like, happy again about Crons as long as we have this current issue going on. That, and I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Except for 49.8% of our country.
All right, on to you, TJ. Your takeaways, your final thoughts, all of that stuff I said before. Let's have it.
Right. Yeah. Make it simple enough to conclude. I am wishing everybody the post nightmare setup of the great thumbing of 2025 as we go into 2026. We'll not be looking forward to it when we have to fight perfection as it is, I guess, for us at the top. And I hate to comment the great thumbing, but that's what we're going to be at. May all of your thumbs be stronger for what you have to go through.
Yeah, when I hear you say thumbing, I'm thinking of something more like this.
I know.
Yeah,
that's why I said this. Like, I hate to put it like that, but I'm just going to TLDR to the great thumbing. Right.
Fair. No, that's fair. All right, Sasha, Aisha, over to you, sir. What are your takeaways and final thoughts for the folks at home?
You're going to be waiting a while.
Yeah, you're going to be waiting until
Sasha did message. He actually had to drop out, so we I think we've got him pretty well represented here in this discussion. So sorry we missed you there, Sasha, but thank you again for all of your time. And over to you then, Fatal. Your takeaways and final thoughts for the folks at home.
So if I try to take a step back and look at the big picture, for me personally, I am extremely eager to see the set end so I can resume my bullshit. I will be trying to resume it now, but the nature of this Datacron is that this is a huge puzzle box now for us to fuck with over the next 3 months, and that will be its own thing. So I assume that largely the big project I was working on is still kind of on a 3-month layaway, and I'll just try to do what climbing I can in the meantime. I think... How strongly do I want to put this? I think this could end up being the best season that the game ever receives. If we just take it for what it is and run it how it is and explore for how it is. This might be the most strategic and creative set. Like, under the current conditions, under the current balance. I actually almost think it might even be healthier with support being bugged right now, because like support is both sharper and also more counterable. And I feel like once it gets fixed, it might actually just be a little bit more vanilla. But I don't know, man. Like, every time that you think that you have a crazy idea, you both see a counter to it and then come up with another crazy idea. There is just a ton of creativity and possibilities out there that I think it will be a very, very fun 3 months. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm also very much looking forward to getting back on the game plan. And yeah, hope everyone has a solid end to the year and start to the next.
Fantastic. And will you be doing anything here during the off week? Will you be having any streams? And if so, where can the people find you?
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV, YouTube.com/ThePlaybook. I did just get Grandmaster into XKO. So
I saw that the other day. It's cool.
Been nice, but I did not do that on the stream. It's been kind of an introspective personal journey. I don't know. Like, the TFT set is quite good.
Yes, it is. It's
quite
really
good.
Fun.
I'm possibly even getting into the Riot card game. I don't know how I'm apparently just a Riot shill now. Look, man, if I'm not supposed to be a Riot shill, other people need to make better products. I'm not like out here like, oh my god, I love League of Legends. It's just, hey, that TFT set is a real fucking banger. I don't know.
It really is.
I never cared about TFT before now, but I saw that trailer and I was like, all right, fuck, they got my ass.
Yeah, the unlockable quests and stuff, getting at those like really super high-end rare units is a real project, but it's attainable. It's really, really fun. It makes you get better than I think the game's ever forced you to be at, like, actually managing your golden interest to get up to that end stage. So
it's crazy because I know the nature of TFT is they like to move quickly and iterate a lot and change a lot. And this being the thing that sort of got me into TFT, and them already being like, and in March we're getting rid of this set, and I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing.
They definitely have carried over mechanics that they've liked from one set into the next. So there's reason to be hopeful. Like I think that this our view of this new set is generally pretty well received. So yeah.
I'm sure they'll take lessons or whatever. But it just
All right. Well,
as
appreciate
a
that. Yeah. Sorry. Anything else?
No. That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you guys, for my part, I'm pretty much just going to be living where I am, just holding my breath until set 25 expires for it to feel like we're approaching normalcy. As Fatal said, though, you are where you are. You are here. If you had a whole bunch of those crons reset and then restored, and now you have a whole bunch of new crons to explore rolling through and perfecting, you may as well, because for where you are, surely your opponents will be doing the same as much as they can, which does bring us back to that idea that if everybody has cracked datacrons, then it's actually mods and relics that have a real opportunity to shine here. So take that for what it is. And if you make those applications of relics and stuff judiciously over the next 3 months, for the lifetime of set 25, you won't feel such a loss of power when it is finally gone. You'll actually have long-term value from some of those. So, it's not all doom. More importantly, you are where you are. You didn't choose to get dropped off in the middle of the ocean, but, what do you want to do about it? Do you want to sink or do you want to swim? So, yeah. That being said, I've got the Santa hat on here, wishing you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Festivus, whatever it is that you're celebrating this time of year. Thank you so much for giving your valuable time to watch and or listen to this show. You could be chilling out with your in-laws in a living room, having small talk about what you did at work this year, but you're here with us, and I appreciate that. So, thanks. And of course, again, thank you so much to my co-hosts, Dagger, TJ, Sasha, Aisha, and Fatal. Here we are. It's, later in the evening on December the 23rd. They could be doing anything else, but they made the time to make our show, so thank you guys. And of course, in wrapping up, if you want to be in touch here over the season, here's the link to my Discord. Very active community. Of course, Grand Arena focus, but yeah, you got questions, we got answers. And if you didn't get your question answered here on today's live Q&A, by all means, drop by the Discord. Somebody's going to get you sorted, trust me. Let's see. Yes, likewise. Yes, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of you. Yes, responding in the chat for sure. Of course, if you're catching this live, then you know that we're here at twitch.tv/Tassenix. And I also simulcast here from my YouTube channel, Tassenix Gaming. Here's the link for that. If you've not been over to my YouTube channel before, check it out. We've got a whole bunch of Sorg-related content that I think you may be interested in. Stuff like the Grand Arena Omicron tier list, Datacron set guides on set 24 and 25, mod guides on characters and factions that you've asked about, the How to Mod series about building up your mod collection from scratch, and of course, all my GAC VODs, and it's a rebroadcasting point for this very podcast, Plotting and Scheming, which is native to Spotify. But wherever you catch an episode, check the description. There should be a link that you can use to plug that into your preferred podcast program and follow us that way. Anything that you enjoy over there on YouTube, please do hit like, hit subscribe to the channel to see more. Really appreciate that support. Likewise, if you can, follow me on Twitch. All that stuff is the best way to support the channel for absolutely free. And if you feel compelled to go above and beyond the call of duty to support the channel, there are a few ways to do so. First, I have a Cash App. That is $Tassenix. I do have a PayPal, which is tassenix@gmail.com. And if you're interested in getting some enhanced scouting power for your own Grand Arena, early access to my content, including plotting and scheming, and a few other benefits besides, you may be interested in checking out my Patreon, patreon.com/Tassenix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest for you. At $5 a month, you enter the Task House at VIP access level, where you get early access to the Plotting and Scheming show. That's coming out to our general audience Friday morning at 8 a.m., but patrons can have it as early as Monday or Tuesday night, depending on when we sit down to record. Either way, you'll have that access to it ahead of the first round of the week, giving you that little extra edge. And of course, we do have stuff like the occasional patron-exclusive video that I'll make. You'll have that at least a month ahead of the general public. We also have a dedicated text and voice chat on Discord where I'm usually lurking, so pop on in and say hi. Next tier up is the $10 a month tier, VIP Access Plus, where you get a bundled... Oh, crap, I forgot to read out the names. Hold on, let's go back. Thank you so much to everybody here at VIP Access. Thank you to Andrew, Banja, Boba Isa, Deadpool Cow 28, Heratran, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin4527, Miasmal, Mus Ross, Rays Malvis, Sam Vimes, Sheepdog 47, Shake 23501, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, and White Wolf. Moving on up to the $10 a month tier is VIP Access Plus, where you get a bundled Patreon access to me and to your choice of either OmegaBot or Hot Utils Patreon. OmegaBot's a tool that I highlight at the start of all my Grand Arena streams. It's the one with the graphs that give you an easily digested sense of what your opponent's offensive and defensive tendencies are. Anybody can use that tool for free to scout their opponent's last week of Grand Arena history, but only patrons can plug in any number of weeks. You get a downloadable HTML version of the report with embedded links that you can click, taking you right back into Swugga.gg or Insight with data pre-sorted, just helping you further minimize your scout. Or you may spring for the Hot Utils Patreon, aka Chili subscription, which is your #1 tool for mass mod management and loadout creation. Nothing else lets you switch so easily between your Grand Arena, TB, TW, and Raid mods. You can use it like TJ and Fatal do to comprehensively remod your roster with a powerful automation feature. And if you do have that Hot Utils Patreon and you're not familiar with how to get the most out of that, check out the Hot Utils video that I do have on YouTube training you about exactly how to use that automation. Aside from that, though, Hot Utils can also slice through hundreds of mods in seconds, help out your guild with information in TW, managing the logistics of it, and a whole bunch of other odds and ends. There's no wrong way to go at VIP Access Plus. Thank you so much to Aussie Mike, Darth Salea, Calidus Invictus, Esh Sotnikam, JJ's Dad, Frick Frack Paddywhack, Ganroth, I Am Arj, Mr. Tony, Single Malt Jedi, Snack Attack, Striker, Supermard, Troublefingers, and Zoltre. At VIP Access Premium, that's $15 a month for the Double Bot bundle. So, Patreon access for me, OmegaBot, and Hot Utils, all in one price. Going out and getting those 2 bots anywhere else costs the same as this triple bundle, which is why so many of my patrons say it's one of the best values in all of Swugga. Thank you so much to Argots, Bjorn, Big Ninja, Depressed Wampa, Darth Link, General Milan, Wheatsy, Ibanek, Johnny B. Ottawa, Kev, Mini GK, Pills, Quig, Rawling, Saldag, Sir Boss, Sophis, Sprizzle, The Lost Womprat, Wilco, and Bane. At the top of the list, in Jester's Club Elite, the one, the only Nomad's Reaper, a madman who pops in from time to time and graces us with hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies, has Fireman carried his share of hype trains and hype train records, mostly by himself. So thank you so much for the incredible support over the years, Nomads. Really appreciate you, sir. And also to Pills, who has also made a show of showing up at the end of my streams, hopping in, just dropping 10 subs here, 100 subs there. Never quite know what you can expect, but it's always generous and it's always appreciated. Thank you guys so much. Special thanks to The Lost Womprat, one of my patrons who's gone well above the Call of Duty by helping me optimize my OBS setup, my stream deck, just helping me work out all the little technical bugs that make it all that much smoother for me to do what I love doing here with you guys. So thank you, Womprat. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for all you do in the background, whether that's bringing me something to eat or drink on stream, just keeping our daughter from tearing the house apart while I'm trying to be halfway decent at a phone game. I appreciate you. And to my co-hosts here, again, I'm Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. You know, as we close out the year here, certainly this season, I am, of course, always grateful to you guys for making yourselves available on a weekly basis to produce our show. I learn from you all every episode. Hopefully the feeling is occasionally mutual, but it is not about us. It is about the fine people that tune in or watch to see what we have to say. And it's evident, guys, because it's rare that a day goes by somebody doesn't send some kind note, a DM on Discord, a comment on YouTube saying that, hey, something we talked about really helped them win their match. We're raising other people's games out there. We're showing them the way. And that's exactly what we aspired to when we started the show. So thank you guys so much for making the show what it is, and wouldn't change a thing. All right, back on over to the main scene, and we make ready to send you all out. Let's see. Is there anybody live on YouTube to share you guys on forward? Galaxy of Heroes. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Doesn't look like anything's on right now. So really appreciate you guys, though, tuning in on YouTube. Thank you, and we'll see you all soon. And then, yeah, let's get ready to raid you all out the door here on Twitch. Where is... I'm sorry. Do you not realize that I'm online? Here you go, buddy. Okay. Raid channel. Oh, is nobody else on for us? Jeez. Okay. If there's nobody on for... Really? Hold on. Yeah, is there nobody on? Oh, man, there really is nobody. All right, well, that means I'm going to send you guys over to Teamfight Tactics, because if you haven't played that game before, nice little strategy game, kind of like an auto chess, but there's quite a lot of active management going on in between the combat phases. Free to play, very fun, and if you haven't ever seen it or checked it out, maybe you'll enjoy that I'm sending you along that way. Let's see what we got here. Back. Search and filter, Teamfight Tactics. Okay, who's on? This looks like an English stream, so that'll be helpful to us all. Starting up the raid. And yeah, guys, thank you again for tuning in for another episode. Always my pleasure to do this. I'm sure the rest of the gentlemen feel the same. And until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.